talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles built around your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your latest sports headlines, I'm Matt Hutchinson. The whole rugby community is there for Lewis Moody, whatever he needs. That's the message from Kenny Logan following Moody's diagnosis of motor neurone disease. Logan's told talkSPORT the former England captain always greets people with a smile and a hug and says we must now do that for him and his family.
He's here to work, right? He's not. He's a rugby player who's won a World Cup, but he'll still have to work and make a living for his family. So I think that's the first thing. We've got to try and help his family and make sure that they're looked after.
Moody, who of course won the World Cup with England in 2003, says he's being supported well and is feeling positive. Plenty more on this, of course, at talksport.com. Elsewhere this lunchtime, Nico O'Reilly has received his first senior England call-up. The Man City youngster joins Thomas Tuchel's squad following an injury to Reece James. In the Wales camp, Aaron Ramsey has pulled out. Shock. And you can hear Craig Bellamy's side take on England live on talkSPORT this Thursday. Ali McCoy says the Rangers board are under huge pressure to get their next appointment right. That's following the sacking of Russell Martin. The former Rangers striker has told talkSPORT recruitment's been really poor, but the players must also carry the can.
The buck rightly and understandably stops at the manager, but sometimes when you get on the pitch, you've got to take responsibility. And Rangers just look like they look like wee boys, mate.
Martin leaves Rangers with just one league win. They're 11 points off Premiership leaders' Hearts. We understand former Royal Antwerp boss Mark van Bommel would be interested in taking that Rangers job.
talkSPORT News.
The author Dame Jilly Cooper has died at the age of 88, and the Tories say they'd cut business rates for pubs if they got into power. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Buy 2 or more Bridgestone Turanza all-season 6 tyres and claim Bridgestone's massive 20,000 mileage guarantee. Visit quickfit.com and book today. Conditions apply.
We're expecting a relatively warm afternoon, dry in most parts of the UK with plenty of sunny spells.
This is Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs with you through until 4 here on talkSPORT. Where this afternoon, Andy, please tell us what's coming up.
Coming up over the next 3 hours, Danny Kelly joins us to go game by game through the Premier League weekend. Andy Brassel guides us around Europe, and Troy Deeney gives us his take on the big talking points and explains his spot of moonlighting for the NFL.
Yeah, I spotted him yesterday doing a bit of coverage for the American football. We're also after some cock-ups at the printers. And we'll hear more about the tournament that has top darts players throwing treble 20s by mistake.
Oh dear, there's all this plus. Rangers fan and comedian Roscoe McClellan tells us who he wants next after Russell Martin, and we'll transport you back to a thrilling season during a dark era for English football.
We certainly will. It's approaching 5 minutes past 1. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Andy.
Good afternoon, Paul. And safe to say, I enjoyed Match of the Day slightly more this week.
I'm sure you did. You went to 2 games
I did.
This weekend. You went to Brentford as well, didn't you?
Yeah, it was all right. We'll talk about it with Danny. It wasn't a bad game.
Yeah.
Game of 2 halves, really, and 2 one-on-ones.
Yeah, all the gooners here at talkSPORT, and there are many of them. have been coming up and patting you on the back. They celebrated it more than they did their own goals at the weekend. Esteval's winner, apparently.
Yeah, cool.
Running round the living room, our producer.
But I do think, I like Jamie Carragher. I know he likes the show and he listens, and we've always gotten well. But it was a good lesson in football karma for him. He'd spent the previous 2 weeks absolutely trashing the Chelsea project. Not good enough. World Cup, Club Cup, there's nothing. They've won nothing. They're no good. It's all youth. It's this, it's that. Honestly, but like to an obsession, you're thinking, I don't know why you're doing this. But it's always best to wait.
I think you're slightly more, I'd noticed it, you're slightly more heightened to it.
No, you honestly, I'm not just saying.
Have you compiled a file?
I don't need to compile a file. I know.
You've watched him
Any Chelsea fan will tell you, honestly.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
And he was in the crowd on Saturday, of course. In
the crowd?
Oh, yeah, they
Oh, wow.
But, if you're going to do that, why don't you wait till your team have actually beaten the other team that you're having a go at? Because it always comes back on you. And we're all the same. So it's football karma there, I thought.
You like a bit of football karma, don't you?
Happens,
Would you like some other examples of that?
Yes, very much.
Let's have some other football karma examples this afternoon. We've probably got millions of them. talkSPORT.com, text 81089, tweet TSH and J. Just going back to your game the other day, because your manager had been sent off for doing a Jozan running along the touchline.
Everyone knows the rules.
Yeah.
Ludicrous.
Yeah. It's a bit nuts, isn't it, in the moment like that? You got to cut him some slack.
Yeah.
But he's not allowed. The ref didn't want to do it, but he had no choice, really. No. But Willie Caballero came out and did the post-match.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a kind of mirror image, because did you notice that his badge on his shirt didn't say WC? That's
good.
It said CW.
Yeah.
Caballero Willie, which sounds like some kind of Spanish ailment.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
I suppose because WC means toilet, I suppose.
No, I don't think so. Do you
think it was a mistake?
I think there's a cock-up of the printers. Can anybody tell us why? If you work at Chelsea, can anybody tell us why Willie Caballero... As I said, maybe he was just looking into a mirror. Why Willie Caballero has CW... Is that a thing?
I've no idea.
Is that a thing in that part of the world, to call yourself by your surname first?
No, I don't think so.
No, of course not. Anyway, maybe you can let us know. Cock-ups at the printers. Let's have some of those. Might have been whatever it was on. We could have a bit of a black humour with an order of service. We could possibly have wedding invitations. Cock up at the printers. That's what I'm putting.
Oh yeah, no, that's
down.
good.
If you've got any of those, or the embroiderers, let's have the best of those today, because I'm sure we'll have a few corkers. TalkSport. And don't want any beloved aunt ones.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah, Larry David.
It's exactly what I was thinking.
TalkSport.com, text 81089, tweet TSH and J 03717 223344. And your favourite moments in the world of football karma.
No, I'm not saying it's International Week
or
anything like that, but this is what we could possibly talk about.
You've compiled for this week, these could come up.
The British Lawnmower Championships.
Yeah, but I think that's that sport. I think that's justified.
No mowing involved, though.
No.
The World Wine Tasting Championships.
That's not sport, is it?
Alan would be quite good.
Yeah.
We just drink it.
The wine drinking championships. It's a different event.
Yeah. The World Conquer Championships, whose PR arm is in full swing.
That's not on for a while, though, the tournament.
No, it's next weekend.
Oh, is it really? Okay, great.
Next weekend. And then we've got the World Croissant Making Championships.
Yeah, it's going to be a cold day in hell before we do the World Croissant Making Championships, even if England are playing Wales in a friendly on Thursday. Imagine Friday would do.
He's just coming in now with a tray of croissants. I've invited him on.
Croissant. We'll do an hour. I always enjoy Alan.
Croissants were like a baseball mitt.
They were, yeah. I always enjoy Alan. Broadcasting with a mouthful of croissant.
Oh, yes.
Which has often happened over the years. I get a bit pappy in his mouth.
Flaky.
Yeah.
It's the flakiness.
Changes the timbre of his voice.
We've got about a couple of minutes out of it there. Well,
about a couple of minutes.
Yes,
so,
good.
Is that it?
Well,
is that it for now?
Yeah.
Or have you got anything else you want to add?
Well, I've got other stuff really, but I'm saving it mostly for. Oh, that photo of Erling Haaland. Have you seen the photo?
No.
He's hugging this topless City fan after he scored.
Yeah.
And it's honestly, the two of them, it must be revolting. Erling's all sweaty.
The bloke's all sweaty.
And when the bloke's topless.
Okay.
So the bloke's topless and he's got Erling in his sweaty shirt. I'm sure he was delighted because he just scored a goal.
Yeah.
And that to be the winning goal. But I think if Erling came up to me and like that, I'd think...
So you're saying now, if you're out and about and Erling comes up to you and he's got a bit of a...
Sweat on.
Don't hug you.
I don't.
I think you're on fairly safe ground.
I think I am.
Yeah.
I'd rather he didn't, though.
He is so steeped in English football, having lived here for so long, because he was asked, wasn't he, about the Brentford coming on strong towards the end, and he said it reminded me of Rory Delap and Stoke back in the day.
Yeah.
Because he's lived here all his life, effectively, or most of it.
Yeah.
He can remember, I mean, not many overseas players.
No, but the City were doing...
I don't think Esteval will be citing...
To be honest, I think there's only one team now that doesn't have a long throw, and that's Chelsea. I mean, I was going mad on Saturday. They were basically getting throws where Coyote or any of the good people would throw the ball in. And they were going back to... It would absolutely guaranteed to end up back at Sanchez.
Right.
And thinking, what is the point of that? Look, you've got Liam Delap on the staff. Why don't you get his dad in? There must be, I mean, there's some big, strong lads at Chelsea. There must be somebody who can throw the ball in. It's a big part of modern football now.
Do you think, I mean, is there an art to it, or is it just brute strength?
Oh, there is an art to it because it's all about trajectory.
Trajectory, that's true.
You can't be too loopy.
You want to send it in flat.
Oh, yes.
You've got to send it in flat.
Absolutely. And City defended it really well.
That's real cab speak, isn't it? The thing is, Gov, it's not just chucking it in there. You've got to send it in flat. Can I drop the air, mate? Otherwise, it costs you another £3 in that one-way system. They've got roadworks up there as well.
Exactly.
So, yes, talksport.com, text 1889, tweet TSH&J. Along with everybody else here at the station, we wish Lewis Moody all the very best in what will be a tough fight for him. We discovered today that he's suffering from motor neuron disease, and it's a disease because many of the times that Lewis has been on in recent years with us chatting, he's taught rugby, but he was front and centre of the My Name's Doddy Foundation for his friend Doddy Weir, who also had MND, and so we all know full well, what he's facing. But everybody at talkSPORT wishes him all the very best.
Yeah, absolutely.
And sad news today about Jilly Cooper, who we invited into the studio a couple of years ago.
She was great.
She had a book out called Tackle, set in the world of football.
Right, yeah.
And she was great fun. We got a great response
she was.
when she came in. And she was a lot of fun talking about the book. And that was a
life well lived.
A British institution, I think is fair to say. So, talksport.com/H&J, text to 81089, tweet to TSH&J, 03717 223344 to get in touch on your favourite bits of sport in Karma you're still dying out on, and cock-ups at the Printers, Caballero Willie. No one wants that, let's be honest, on a holiday. Get in touch this afternoon. We're here, of course, with our very good friends at Toolstation. Next up, Toolstation, and next up, it's Danny Kelly to go game by game through the Premier League weekend.
Tottenham Hotspur become the first team to beat Leeds United in a league game at Ellen Road in over a year.
Arsenal go top of the table at a canter. Arsenal 2, West Ham 0.
Manchester United 2, Sunderland 0. Goals in back-to-back games for Benjamin Šeško.
It's a winner for Chelsea. Chelsea 2, Liverpool 1. It's now 3 defeats in a row for Liverpool.
They couldn't hold on at Wolves 1, Brighton 1.
A gorgeous strike from Daniel Marlin to double Villa's lead and his tally for the afternoon. Aston Villa 2, Burnley 1.
And Everton have turned this game on its head, and it's Jack Grealish. Everton 2, Crystal Palace 1.
3 goals in 3 home games for Nick Brogdemar, Newcastle's record signing.
The winless streak continues for Ange Postecoglou, and the woes carry on. Erling Haaland had never scored at the G-Tech. Well, he most certainly has now. It's his 12th goal of the season. Brentford 0, Manchester City 1.
Yes, that's how the weekend unfolded in the Premier League on talkSPORT. It's time to go back through the weekend, game by game, as always, with Danny Kelly. Good afternoon, Dan.
Afternoon, everyone. How's it going? Good?
Good, yeah.
Not too bad, thank you. Andy was at 2 of these games, and we're going to kick off with one he was at yesterday. Brentford 0, Manchester City 1. What was your considered take on the match, Andy?
Oh, better game to be there than I gather it would be to watch on TV.
It wasn't a particularly exciting second half. They came on strong, Brentford, and had
game of 2 halves, really. 2 one-on-ones. Brentford a lot better in the second half. Haaland took his brilliantly, and
Igor Thiago, wasn't it? Yeah.
Haaland, though, you just, when you watch him in the flesh, when he threw off those 2 defenders and thrashed it in, you just go, this bloke's ridiculous.
Yeah.
He is ridiculous.
He's, as I think the technical term they use in the coaching manuals, Danny, is he's a handful.
Yes, he is. And if you look at the size of your own hands, he's probably 2 handfuls, isn't he? Look, we're privileged to watch him playing at the level he's playing at right now. And we mustn't always think the Premier League's the only thing that's going on, because his form is sensational, not quite up to the level of Harry Kane's in Germany, but we're watching the 2 greatest current sort of centre forwards in the world thrashing teams, Brentford. Andy, you're right. There was a one-on-one, wasn't there, with Donnarumma stood up to Thiago, and that kind of changed the game. But listen, I'm going to do something I don't normally do. I try and find the fun in these fixtures as well as being informative about them. But I want to start with a serious note, if I can today, chaps, on your normally not so serious show. But the injury to Rodri is, we don't. Hopefully, it's not too bad. But listen, this man has got no chance. But the best player in the world in his position. Of course, the managers nationally, internationally, for club, they want us to play every game. He's not getting a rest. His injuries aren't going to be completely healed and all the rest of it. But I just wanted to talk about this, what we're putting the players through now. Think about a player. Think about a player who plays in the Premier League who is African. Let's just say that, and went to the World Club Championship, if such a man exists.
Yeah.
He will have played the World Club Championship. He's got the AFCON in January and the World Cup in June. So as well as a busy schedule, no doubt, in the Premier League and the Champions League or the Europa League, whatever, 3 global tournaments in 12 months. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. Now, it's no good people of our age, me, you, and me, you, Paul, Andy, saying, but in the 70s and 80s, they used to play 72 games. It was a different sport.
Yeah.
It was a completely different sport. The speed and the power that's expected of our players now means that I just think, I have a feeling that it's no good really famous players like Rodri and Son Heung-min sitting in press conferences as international stars or national captains saying something's got to be done here. This is going to only end when a player less famous than them takes one of the big authorities, UEFA or FIFA, to court. Because we are literally neglecting now the professional footballs that we rely on for our entertainment, and in the case of the 3 of us, for our actual living.
Yes. No, I mean, the trouble is we've got in Infantino, we've seen him instigate this vanity project and turn the kind of hit and giggle that was the Club World Cup into this, this huge competition that puts even more demands on players. Also, there isn't a great deal of public sympathy. There should be, because the same people that say, oh, Rodri's missing, Haaland's missing, I'm gutted, I want to see the best players, I'm paying 50, 60 quid for a ticket. They'll also say, oh, I should get 250 grand for chasing a football around.
We'd all sign that contract. Let me just take this one further for you. This international break, ridiculous second international break in 7 games in the case of the Premier League, the South American teams can't find anyone to play, because the European teams are all in competition. They've got World Cup qualifiers, but their tournament is finished. Argentina are going to America to play 2 friendlies, but listen to this. Uruguay are going to Malaysia to play the Dominican Republic and Uzbekistan.
It's ridiculous.
That's all happening in the next in the next 10 days. Now, of course, we don't know which players are involved because Bielsa doesn't announce the squad ever. You just have to go to Malaysia, wait for the bus to arrive at the Hotel Excelsior, and check who gets off with their little man bag. That's the only way you're. It doesn't announce the squad anymore now. That's given too much away. I'm hoping that Rodrigo Bentancur gets lost or doesn't know he's in the squad.
Doesn't want to give the Malaysians the upper hand, clearly, in that.
The Dominican Republic, no way. No way.
But what happens is that, for example, Caicedo has pulled out of Ecuador's thing, and you're just delighted, absolutely delighted that the bloke's going to get 2 weeks rest. You think this is brilliant, as opposed to travelling halfway around the world and playing 2 matches in about 5 days. Which
terrible news for goalkeepers who have to face Caicedo's shot. Well, it'll be like after 2 weeks rest.
We'll come on to that. Let's move on to Wolves 1, Brighton 1. Shall we? And boos from the Wolves fans who probably feared exactly what did happen was going to happen, and then yet another equaliser after what happened to them last week at Spurs. Very frustrating.
Not that I've got anything against Brighton, but I was gutted when they scored.
I think you say that, Andy, for a club that supplies most of your best players, I can't see why you've got such a problem with them.
Because they only play against us. It was like their cup final against us, and then the next week they can't even beat Wolves. It's brilliant, isn't it?
Because he's Andy Jacobs, and you can't replace that, of course. Look, the Wolves fans, I think, were probably a little bit more negative about this than they might have been, because the manager changed the way they played. Once they got ahead, they really did go into a kind of 6 at the back shell. And whereas, the result they got at Tottenham, they were the superior team going forward, you could argue. Here they decided to hold what they had. Now, do I blame the manager? Yes, I do, actually, because because already at the start they've made a point from every game won't keep them up. So they've got to win some football matches, particularly at home. Now, look, Brighton were the better team and were dominant for long spells of it. And Wolves already, we're just barely into October, and Wolves are already at the stage where they're looking at the fixture list. And, of course, the next 2, is it away to Sunderland and home to Burnley? I think that's the way they fall. Those are games they've almost got to win now.
Oh, yeah, must win, definitely.
Yeah.
He's desperate to go. He wants to go back to the pub again, Vitor Pereira. He's missing those post-match time with the Wolves fans because he doesn't feel at the moment. I mean, if he wanders into Spoons and says the next round's on me, they all make no, you can keep your money, mate. It may.
I didn't see the incident where he got sent off.
He seemed to kick a ball away. There was something going on down there.
Ball into the dugout or something.
Yeah, he was quite.
Oh, we've got managers getting sent off for showing their frustration. Yeah. Managers getting sent off for celebrating. God, come on, let's have a little bit of leeway. The players, they've got to behave in a certain way. I'm not sure that the managers are not part of the drama unless they're doing something absolutely ridiculous. Too much attention being paid to what's going on in the dugouts these days.
Do we need to rewrite the rules around own goals for goalkeepers? Because when a goalie throws one in, fine. But when Menezes hits a brilliant volley and it just hits the goalie's back and goes in, you kind of feel... I mean, I know it's not on target, but I do feel for the player of it. He deserved the goal for that shot.
He gets an assist.
Yeah, I suppose he does if you're fantasy footballing.
My guess, Paul, and I hate to say this, it's probably to do with betting, isn't it?
It probably is. It probably is.
But we all know that was Menezes' goal, who followed up his performance with another absolute belter. He was very good again, wasn't he?
Let's talk about Newcastle 2, Nottingham Forest 0. Let's hear from Ange first. When he sat down with the press, we got prickly Ange. It's understandable after another defeat. He was asked by a journalist whether he was going to be able to turn things around at the club.
No, it's a lost cause. I mean, it's seriously, what's wrong with something being hard? Seriously, what's wrong with it? why does everything have to be so? Why do we want everything just delivered nicely packaged? I'm sure your parents had a struggle in their life, right? And they didn't give up. You may have even been a lost cause at some point, but they didn't give up on you, right? So what I'm saying is, no. But what I'm saying is, right, I'm not having a go at you, please don't take it that way, is that, you know, it seems to be these days that as soon as something goes wrong, that's it, it's wrong, we'll change it, break it up. Like, everything that needs kind of something fixed is invariably going to go through a tough time.
There we are. There was kind of slightly.
Yeah, the problem with that is it didn't need fixing. You know, you've got to be.
That's not his fault.
No,
but
he's taken a team that was very good, that nearly made the Champions League, and turned them into a fairly beatable unit. I don't think that's a great achievement. I'll just blame the other.
I don't believe for one moment when he sat down with Mr. Marinakis, he didn't say, "Look, you know the way I'd like to play football. You've seen the way I like to play, and that's the way I'm going to play with this team." And he's probably going, "Yeah, fine. Good luck. All the best, Ange."
We'll discuss that later on the pitch. Yeah.
So look, there is going to be a period of transition. I'm kind of slightly feeling for him now. The idea that, as he said, if you want to sack someone after 3.5 weeks, that's kind of on you, not on him at this stage. So, I mean, look, let's give him to the next dreaded international break.
We've got them next, and when teams on a big losing run, you always dread that you're going to be the one that gives them that victory. But it's a good chance for them because it's 12:30 after international break. It's normally a good time.
I don't know when our resident consultant, Mr. Tottenham, goes to the City Ground. Maybe they have to wait that long.
Paul, he's retired. Mr.
Of course, Mr. Tottenham. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he does a little bit of consultancy work with a local hospital. Anyway, let's talk.
Very quickly, Ange Postecoglou, like all managers, is in the situation where he's trying to, whatever the reason, he's got to repair the vehicle while it's on the move, hasn't he? And it's a tricky, unless it's bikes in the Tour de France, where they literally hang out the windows of cars and do exactly that. It's a tricky operation. Marinakis can't sack Postecoglou because he's so clearly his mate and his appointment.
Absolutely.
And I don't, you know, Forest aren't as bad as their results suggest, but of course that's the exact talk that gets teams relegated, isn't it?
Of course. And we should join Newcastle as well. Voltemada, Karl-Heinz Rummenigge may think they were idiots, but I'd say for 70 million quid may look money well spent. He's
especially when Visser comes back.
Yeah, I mean, Visser will just add to the mix, but his hold-up play's great. He's scoring goals. His penalty was Kane-like. So
it's a great penalty. But if I was being picky, he still hasn't scored with his foot from open play.
No. Okay,
but that when he's got 20 goals with his head and penalties, I won't be saying that anymore.
And we'll move on to Everton 2, Crystal Palace 1. That was a weird old game. Danny Kelly's with us. We're going game by game through the Premier League weekend.
Rangers have been outrun and outfought too often under the sacked Russell Martin, and Ali McCoy says the rest of the Premiership could start to smell blood.
And Rangers, unlike a wounded animal can be very, very dangerous. Rangers are a wounded animal at this moment in time, but look anything but dangerous.
The board say Russell Martin's results did not meet expectations. He leaves Rangers 11 points off leaders' hearts after winning just one league game this season. Forest legend Stuart Pearce, meanwhile, has told us the team just lack a bit of cutting edge and that the players are fighting hard for their new manager.
What's wrong with something being hard? Seriously, what's wrong with it? Why does everything have to be so... Why do we want everything just delivered, nicely packaged? I'm sure your parents had a struggle in their life, right? And they didn't give up.
Postecoglou expects talks with the Forest board over the international break after going 7 games without a win. Now, Martin Ødegaard's expected to miss at least 3 weeks with a knee ligament injury. Arsenal's captain came off for the 3rd home game running as Arsenal went top with a win over West Ham. Meanwhile, Harry Kane insists he is fit to play for England this week. He's hurt his foot in Bayern's win over Frankfurt. And some very sad news indeed this morning. British and Irish lion Lewis Moody has been diagnosed with MND. In an emotional interview with the BBC, Moody says the hardest thing was telling his mum and 2 teenage boys. Former Scottish winger Kenny Logan is a spokesperson for the Doddy Weir Foundation.
I know Lewis. He's a top man. He's a really good lad.
Yep.
One of the nicest guys we'll meet, actually. And he's one of these guys that will always turn up and every time you see him, big smile. And gives you a big hug. How you getting on? And we've got to do that for him now and his family.
There's more on this story and others at talksport.com.
I mentioned earlier on that Willie Caballero, who had to sort of front up because Maresca was sent off at the weekend against Liverpool, had CW rather than WC on his tracksuit top. Matt in London at an auction got a pair of William Gallas's boots and he said they had GW on them, so maybe it's a Chelsea thing.
That's right,
I don't know. Although it could be worse.
Is there a public school thing?
Craig Angus tells us he won the Works Golf Trophy, and when it was presented it said Craig Anus. So there we are. Who I think was the guitarist in a punk band about 1978. Yeah. Anyway, let's return to the football. Danny Kelly's with us. Everton 2, Crystal Palace 1. A game in which even David Moyes would admit Palace should have been absolutely out of sight before their legs gave way in the second half after their trip to Poland. But a great fight back by Everton as well. So this was a really entertaining game from what I saw.
Yeah, I'll take you back to the last week of the transfer window where Oliver Glasner, one of the few managers who knows that his position is absolutely bulletproof, came out and just said, we don't have enough players. And here's the proof. They've made the least changes of any team in the Premier League so far. As you say, they enjoyed a very successful trip out to Poland in the middle of the week. But the 2 halves here, the stats are astonishing. Crystal Palace absolutely dominated the first half, and then their players just the elastic twanged. And Everton, improving team under David Moyes, non-philosophy manager, but knows how to put a football team together. They didn't completely dominate the second half, but all the stats showed they were going to get back into the game. And then it's a bit of luck, isn't it, when someone's clearance hits Jack Grealish to his great joy and rebounds into the net. But it's a combination of things there. Crystal Palace simply can't go with the same 14 players game after game after game. The Premier League's not like that anymore. And David Moyes, even when they were getting... I suppose the word I use is trossachs in the first half. David Moyes knows how to keep a team in a game. Yeah. And then when they started to fade or something changes or a bit of luck, it comes your way and there we have a win in the end. But no one could say that Everton, to use the overused word, deserved it, but they got it. And Palace will have to address this in January, I think.
I wrote down Palace coping with Thursday, Sunday really well. This was when the first half. But using the same players all the time may eventually cost them. Well, it did.
Well, about 45 minutes later.
Mateta, I mean, he should have made it 2-0 and that gets game over. I mean,
he had one off the line and the one he put round the post.
That was a bad miss.
The one round the post,
there. I don't know what he was doing. All he had to do was get it on target. He'd have scored. But there we go. That's football.
Very good 3 points for Everton. Villa 2, Burnley 1. 1. Danny, we move on to. And Daniel Marlin apparently said to the manager, look, trust me, I think this will work. This is how I see us. I mean, I don't know if Emery would back this up, but this seems to be the word that he kind of said, I think we can work in tandem like this. And he's given him a chance. Maybe that's good management. And he's gone out there and proved it, I guess. I mean, it's whether he can do that consistently, but they were good goals.
It were good goals, and it's a great story, or to use the modern parlance, a great narrative. I simply can't imagine Unai Emery saying, "Oh, I hadn't thought of that." Oh, Daniel, you know what?
Yeah.
Do you know what? That hadn't occurred
Do you know
to me.
what? Two up top. It's true. That's
However, the 2 up top is a return. I mean, everyone now that we're going back to long balls, 2 up top. Long throws, all the rest of it. Everyone should be allowed to bring back one thing from the past.
Yeah.
For me, it would be full-size shin pads. I don't like these Weetabixes they're wearing on their shins anymore.
Are you listening, Tyler Diblin and Jack Green? Let's ask the listeners then, before you leave us in about 20 minutes or so. What should we bring back? Danny said he wants to bring back full-size shin. You can bring anything back. Because we've got lads who are a real handful. We've got long throws into the box. We've got 2 up top. So all bets are off. What would you like to see? talksport.com, text 81089, tweet to TSH&J.
There's been a lot of chat, though, about Wirtz and coming from the Bundesliga and all that. But Marlin's a typical player. When he came in, he didn't look that great. He was good at Dortmund, wasn't he? But he shows you it just takes time. And now he's coming good. And they look to have turned it around, Villa, don't they, in a very short...
But it's incredible. We had... Guillaume Balaguer about sort of 10 days ago, and he was saying, everybody calm down. He'd spent like a year with Unai Emery behind the scenes working with him and knows him well. He said, it's going to be fine. Since then, they haven't lost the game. So maybe he was right.
Because setting the team out, having a philosophy is only half the job of a manager. The other half is solving problems. Villa had some problems. One of the reasons why he's one of the most in-demand and successful managers over the past decade and a half is that he's very good. I mean, obviously, he stays up late at night doing it. He's very good at solving problems. Yeah. And whether it was Daniel Marlin's inspirational idea to go back to 1973 and play 4-4-2, or Unai himself, a creature of the night, thinking about 4 o'clock in the morning, that's what he needs to do. Either way, they've got far too many brilliant footballers to be struggling in Aston Villa. And we're seeing the signs now, aren't we? A little word of sympathy for Burnley here, who are falling just short in matches again and again and again. Yeah. Whereas some teams, and I would include Tottenham Hotspur, have had a relatively gentle start to the season fixtures-wise. Burnley have had an absolute scalding. Yeah. And they are falling just short against some very good teams. Whether they're self-confidence can survive that, so mean when they get to the easier part of their schedule that they can take advantage, that remains to be seen.
Well, they're home to Leeds in the first game back after the international break, so that will tell us a lot, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Before we talk about Chelsea, Liverpool again, the game with Andy was that very exciting ending to that. Arne Slot spoke to the media after that 2-1 defeat and said this.
When you say Chelsea, I'm talking about quality. I'm talking about a team that's competing with us for the league. So I don't think it's weird or strange if you play away at Chelsea that they are part of the game as well, and that they arrive in our 18-yard box in and around it as well. So, but for us, again, in an away game, Chelsea away, to create the chances we did, and I'm not even talking about the moments that we should have created because we were in a 4 versus 3 or in a 3 versus 3 situation from open play. That was disappointing, but I think it's quite normal if you play Chelsea that they are part of the game as well.
What did you think of Liverpool, Andy, in the flesh?
I thought they were pretty good, actually. Not defensively, obviously, but going forward, they were great, and they had lots of chances. We had lots of chances. I thought at 1-1, I turned around to my son and said, I'll take this. Not a bad result, really. Fair enough, you know.
So it's even better when you nick it at the end.
Oh, yeah. So whether it was deserved, well, that's another matter. But they certainly played well, Chelsea, and it was just a great game to be at. It was really enjoyable. Even without the finish, it was still a really, really good game of football.
Danny, what did you make of it?
I think you've got to say it's a great victory for Chelsea because Liverpool did play well, but Chelsea are really struggling with defensive numbers and the names on the team sheet, and they they found a way around that, and Andy is correct. Liverpool looked like they could score lots of goals, but so did Chelsea. And I suppose the difference is Mohamed Salah, who has been the cheat code for Liverpool for so long, at the moment, the batteries need recharging or something needs to change. He's not quite the player he was, or can be, shall we say. I have no reason to believe he won't return to that form. Although, he's another one who's not as young as he used to be and has been asked to play in tournament after tournament and all the rest of it. And he will be going to AFCON, then he'll be going to the World Cup. Just not quite the absolutely deadly cutting edge that he was for them over the last 2 or 3 years, and that may be the difference. Obviously, Caicedo's goal needs a mention as well. Yeah. One of those which my old dad would say the goalkeeper did well to get out of the way of that, didn't he?
It certainly stepped aside. There was like the parting of the Red Sea. We kept thinking, they're going to close him down. No,
no one going to the ball. Yeah,
they must have known because he did exactly the same thing last month. Who was that against, Andy? Remind me.
Brentford.
He belted one in. Brentford. He belted one in against Brentford.
I've written here, Salah needs to open new contract talks. That'll get him going. He only seems to play well when he
seems to be lacking a bit of confidence, which you never would have thought. No. I mean, Esteval's finish was great. I mean, that old thing of arriving in the right spot for a kid of 18. I mean, Tim Vickery, has been banging on about Esteval long before Chelsea signed him. Said he was the real deal. He was the next big star.
Well, in further Vickery on bangage last night, he pointed out the first time he saw Esteval play, when he's about 12 in the South American Under-19 Championships, he got an identical goal that made Tim think, oh, hang on, this little wisp of a guy, he's also prepared to get into the 6-yard box against the big lunkheads, and got an identical goal. A great day for Chelsea, without their full team, to beat the champions and get a great goal from arguably their best player just now, I guess, Caicedo, and then for the kid to get off the mark as well. Just a brilliant all-round day for Chelsea. And, Liverpool, we know they'll be back.
Manchester United versus Sunderland will kick off the next section. We'll finish off with the 4 games, including Friday. It feels like a lifetime ago. Friday night's game between Bournemouth and Fulham. Danny Kelly's with us. We're here, as always, with our good friends at Toolstation. You can stay one step ahead, whatever the job. Next stop, Toolstation. Hawksbee, Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Danny Kelly's with us. What would you bring back? Danny said 2 up top, long throws. Lads who are a handful. What should we bring back, Danny? Sean says, let's bring back tassels on the socks with the numbers on. Great for merchandising. Like Leeds in the 70s, doing those warm-up exercises, going around the ground doing high kicking, Big Jack and everybody. Leeds should bring that back at Ellen Road. That's a nice idea. How about bringing back the old horse chestnuts outside the ground, says Matt in Wolves. Do they not sell those anymore then? I'm not noticed.
They're not called
I think
horse chestnuts.
Well, they call not... Well, they have
horse chestnuts, so you can't eat them.
Oh, yeah, well, you know, well, they're chestnuts, aren't they?
Chestnuts, yeah.
They're chestnuts. Sorry, they haven't got... Okay, non-horse chestnuts then. Not of the horse...
Well, you can't eat conkers, can you?
Oh, see, now you've told me. I'll put that in the CONCACAF.
Paul, I can help you with this, Paul.
Yeah.
If next time you're at Spurs,
Yeah.
this time of year exactly, you know that school that's opposite the old stadium, but still very much on the high road near
Yeah.
the ground.
Mhm.
If you just stand there against the railings, any afternoon about this time of year, you will find them bouncing off your head.
That's it.
Conker trees there, and they really do bounce off your head.
I think there's still a bloke outside the corner pin that sells them, but I sit at the other end of the ground. So I'd love to see sand back around the side of playing fields. I miss those soggy puddles in the winter, says Danny, the Stoke fan.
Right.
Bring back muddy pitches, says Dob from Chester. Yeah, that's right. That would be a great leveller, wouldn't we? Often say that. Oh, yeah. What would he have been like on the muddy pitches or vice versa? What would he have...
It would be. I think it would play into the favour of the really skillful players. That's the thing when you watch those old big matches on those pitches.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in the
great players look like you think, how did they do this?
In the transition, watching some of these guys play at the old baseball ground, because that's the one you have to cite by law.
Yes.
Yeah.
Would be quite, in that transition would be quite interesting.
Although even in a modern game, the famous Wally with the Brolly game, I remember talking to my brother after the game, which had been absolutely destroyed by the rain lying on the pitch. And we both said, except for that little fella in midfield for Croatia, it was Luka Modric, who it was no problem. It was absolutely no problem for him, the conditions. If you're a great player, the worse the conditions, the better you look. That's how it works.
Yeah, that's what
bring back 1 substitute, 2 absolute max. Give the smaller clubs a chance to compete, says David Enisha. Yeah. Ban footballers from having Turkish hair transplants and bring back the comb over, says Chelsea Mark, especially when it's windy. So thank you for all of those this afternoon. Right-footed winger on the right, left-footed winger on the left. It's like the pub landlord, says Gavin. That's it. That's the way it used to work.
Anyway, we'll never
Great British formation.
Yeah, that's it. Let's move on. Manchester United 2, Sunderland 0. Pretty routine in the end for
1. Sunderland got 1.
Sunderland 1. Yeah.
I thought it was 2-0.
No, Sunderland. Don't make me say his name. Leslie got ahead.
That was 2-0. No, you're thinking of Burnley.
Burnley, yeah.
Oh, no, the wrong game.
Yeah.
It was 2-0.
Oh, it was 2-0. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, 2.
No reply.
They got Andy, you're probably thinking about the penalty they didn't get.
Yes.
Sunderland, yeah.
Right. The lesser spotted Lamens we saw for the first time, pulled off a couple of decent saves. But yeah, pretty routine in the end for United. Shall we hear from Ruben Amorim very quickly? He was asked if he's still enjoying his job at Old Trafford.
I'm enjoying this club. It's impossible not to enjoy this club. I think it's the best club in the world. But with that came all the pressure, all the years, all the baggage that the club have. Again, the most important thing is we learn a lot. Let's move forward and try to win the next one.
Troy wasn't impressed though. Troy Deeney, I was listening to them.
We're going to have a chat with Troy and tell us more later.
And he just thought that the second half performance was really poor.
I mean, they probably felt they'd got the job done. We had Paul goal from Mount. I mean, both of the guys that scored, need a bit of confidence, don't they? So that was good from United's point.
Can you imagine if Bertrand Traore had put that in though, for them to go 1-0 down?
Yeah. Oh, what a chance!
It was such a good chance.
Blimey.
I mean, I suppose at Manchester United, the way they've been playing, all victories are welcome. The goalkeeper has done nothing yet to make his teammates distrust him, so I think that was an improvement. But the way that Sunderland set up, the manager admitted it was wrong. They made changes after 35 minutes. They changed 2 of the players.
Yeah.
And from that moment on, and of course United had got the game under control, but from that moment on, United were made to look, well, Troy will tell you, very stodgy again. And maybe a bit if Regis Lebris had his time again, he'd pick a different side. But that, of course, is all with the benefit of hindsight. Manchester United won the game, and it was for them. It was either very important that they did, so they can start to solidify their position, Or for some of their more wild supporters, it's probably terrible because they're all, I guess, hoping now that something's going to change.
If Robbie Roofs keeps doing what he's doing for Sunderland in goal, it's only a matter of time before one of the big clubs around Europe comes sniffing round him. He's just a very good, great shot stopper, isn't he?
Yeah, we're blessed in the Premier League. We often these guys, Matt Sell's another example. They arrive with almost no reputation because we're a little bit parochial, and then you say, "Wow, he really is a fantastic goalkeeper."
Arsenal 2, West Ham 0. Another pretty routine. The biggest downside for Arsenal was losing Odegaard, who's starting to play well and picked up a knee ligament injury. Don't know how long he's going to be out for. But Declan Rice suddenly moving up the pitch, moving to number 8. Made a big difference. I mean, you kind of wonder why they don't accommodate him there a little bit more.
The injury actually improved Arsenal's team because Rice is better one slot forward, and in they've got Zubimendi, they've got a perfectly good player to play in that slot. But they've got so many good players now. Odegaard's the club captain. You can't leave him out. But it was, Paul, to use your phrase, it was completely routine. I would say almost embarrassing for West Ham because it became a box-ticking exercise. Arsenal are going to get 2 points, tick. It's Bukayo Saka's 200th game in the Premier League. He's bound to score, tick. Arteta's 300th game, he'll probably win, tick. The figures were embarrassing. I mean, Nuno is a defensive coach, but to go to your local rivals and to play a damage limitation from minute 1, and I know how good Arsenal are, and it pains me to say it, but they really are tremendous. And the result was probably never going to be anything else. West Ham did not contribute to the match that people have paid to see.
Yeah, can I just make this point, though? That I cheered up our West Ham executive producer by telling him that one good thing is the team who are worst at conceding goals from corners against the team who are best at scoring from corners
didn't score from
a corner. Yeah, that's got to be a good sign for West Ham because they had to face a lot of corners and didn't concede.
Look at that. He's looking for the positives for the Hammers. Well, let's move on then
to. It would have been about 5-0 under Potter. Let's be honest.
Leeds 1, Spurs 2, and I thought the Kudus goal had shades of Gareth Bale about it. I hadn't seen one. That one where you just wrong foot the keeper by sticking it in the other corner. It was
both deflected, though.
Yeah, both deflected. I don't know if that one makes a material difference. Maybe the first one does, but Tell needed a goal, and everybody's been saying even if one off his backside wouldn't hurt. Well, I think it was slightly more than that. So from a Tottenham point of view, it was a positive day out, and at least it wasn't another duff performance before an international break.
I can hear you deliberately reining yourself in. You can't bring yourself to say it. That was a terrific win in terribly difficult circumstances. Leeds is a horrible place to go. The fans make it very hostile. The weather, and I want to talk to Andy about the weather in a second. That's a game that Spurs would have lost last season.
Oh, yeah.
Let's not kid ourselves. And were they the better team? They were in a very even game. And Kudus, Paul has given them an out ball out wide, and I'm relying on your antiquity here, my friend. They haven't had a player more likely to allow them to get up the pitch from a wide position since the great days of Tony Galvin.
Wow.
I mean, that's the truth.
Kulusevski, when he first came in, was kind of.
He gives you three. He does. That is very fair to say. He gives you 3 seconds, 4 seconds to get up the pitch. Yep. That's a huge amount of time in football terms. The thing about, Tell's goal was deflected, but we were saying this on the View from the Lane podcast this morning, Paul. The fact that he takes no backlift and just wallops it towards the goal, very Jermaine Defoe, a big version of Jermaine Defoe, that wasn't it? Yeah. Andy, I admire the fact that you came out of the rag trade and have clawed your way up into the media. Why? And I think the commentator even said it on the coverage I was watching. It is the heaviest rain you can imagine. Both the managers had hoodies, but they don't put the hood up. So all I kept thinking was, as the rain runs off their massive heads of hair, they both had a lot of hair, does it fill up in the hood behind them? Is there some kind of small pond being formed in the hood behind them?
Did you notice Daniel Farke's hair didn't appear to be wet at any point? I don't know what's going on there.
Amazing.
Maybe he kind of... What's that thing you put on suede shoes? They begin. What's that stuff?
Scotch guard.
Scotch guard.
He's Scotch guarded his hair.
Maybe he Scotch guarded his bunts, Daniel, because Thomas Franks was all in his eyes. It was a little bit of frizzies was needed by the end of that.
But what is the point of wearing those garments if you don't put the protective bit up.
Yeah, but it goes back to the Wally with the brolly. It goes back to it's not a good look. You know, for the fans are getting wet.
That's what
You've got to tough it out. You've got to tough it out.
Leeds are competitive, aren't they? I thought they played
good,
well,
yeah.
but it was a great win for Spurs.
Producer just said, quick word on Bournemouth versus Fulham. I think we can.
I just want to say Spurs are so much better this season under Thomas Frank.
They are so far. 2 words will do. Antoine, I shouldn't have put my fingers up like that for a
I love that goal.
Antoine Semenyo are the 2 words we can use.
Yes, and well, clubs put off by his £70 million fee that Bournemouth were asking during the summer now realise that would have been the bargain of the summer.
Yes.
Because he really is one of the best players in that position in the Premier League, which is saying something. Do you mind if I say a special mention as well to Ryan Sessegnon, who had 3 or 4 absolutely injury-shattered seasons at Spurs, but I knew there was a decent footballer in there, and he's proving it with Fulham this season.
Goalkeepers with long shirts, says Jeremy. They're all going mad. A few people want to see the comb over back. I want to see Vinnie Jones-style tackles. I'm not sure I do, to be honest.
The trouble with the comb over in the windy conditions of the weekend is you could easily get an eye injury from it flicking into your own eye, couldn't you?
That's true.
Danny, sorry.
I just want to finally say, Bournemouth, you've got to hand it to them. No one predicted what they've done in these first 7 games.
No, they are doing sensationally well. Danny, thank you very much. We will catch up with you next week. You'll be back.
Enjoyed it.
I was listening to you guys last night. I mean, the Rangers news broke, and we're going to be talking Rangers later. But it's always a good listen, Trans Europe Express, so people can find it every Sunday night, or they can download the podcast. Cheers, Danny. Thank you.
Cheers, man. Bye-bye for now.
Also, let you know the latest episode of the talkSPORT Daily is available as Madge and Pards take a deep dive into what's gone wrong at Liverpool after they suffered their 3rd successive defeat. You can find it all on the podcast platforms as well as the talkSPORT app. Now, we'll be heading around Europe with Andy Brassel. And Roscoe McClellan's going to join us. We are going to talk Rangers. He's a Rangers fan, comedian. Who would he like in next? It looks like Stephen Gerrard could be on his way back. We'll get Roscoe's take on that very shortly. We're going to be chatting about the darts tournament where players are scoring 60s, treble 20s by mistake a little bit later on. Rob Moore joins us. But first, Matt Hutchinson is back with the sports headlines.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range, helping business owners to work better and live better. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Thanks, Paul. Good afternoon. Thomas Tuchel is looking to youth as he replaces the injured Reece James in the England squad. 20-year-old Nico O'Reilly's been called up to the senior squad for the very first time. One man not at St George's Park is, of course, Jude Bellingham, but Gabby Agbonlahor has come to his defence.
63 games in La Liga, 28 goals, 15 assists, 44 caps for his country, 6 goals. And there's people out there saying that we might be a better side without Jude Bellingham. Give your head a wobble.
Meanwhile, Aaron Ramsey is pulled out of the Wales squad. Craig Bellamy's side take on England this Thursday. You can, of course, hear that live right here on talkSPORT. Elsewhere this afternoon, Kenny Logan says the whole rugby community is there for Lewis Moody following his diagnosis with motor neurone disease. The former England captain has posted online saying he's well supported, feeling fit and staying positive. Matt Bloomfield has been sacked by Luton after less than a year in charge. He leaves the club 11th in League One. And Emmanuel Petit is confused over the silence from the Rangers board after Russell Martin needed a police escort to get out the Falkirk Stadium. That was following their 1-1 draw. Martin was sacked later that night. Petit told talkSPORT the Rangers fan base should call out the masked men who boxed in the team bus.
They are not supporting the club, and you are not. You are different. So you have to take responsibility for that, and you have to step up and to say we don't want those guys, supporting the club, and the club as well has to make a statement.
And there's plenty more, as always, at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
The Queen is among those to have paid tribute to author Gilly Cooper, who's died at the age of 88, and 3 men have become the first to be jailed for violent disorder outside a hotel housing asylum seekers in Essex. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Come rain or shine, wherever and whenever suits you with our mobile tyre fitting service. Now that will have you driving away happy every time. Conditions apply.
We're expecting a relatively warm afternoon, dry in most parts of the UK with plenty of sunny spells.
Good afternoon, Paul Hawksbee, Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT, and I was listening to Danny Kelly and Andy Brassel on Trans Europe Express last night as the news broke about Russell Martin losing his job, and they were taking
the least surprising thing that happened on the weekend.
No, that is very true, and the boys are obviously asking who they fancied next. And Stephen Gerrard came up a few times, actually. We're going to have a chat with Roscoe McClellan, the Rangers fan and comedian, very shortly. Before that, though, a bona fide Rangers legend, of course, was on breakfast this morning, Ali McCoist, alongside Gabby Agbonlahor, and he gave his thoughts on Russell Martin's time at the club.
This is probably the least surprising managerial dismissal I can remember in a long, long time.
Yes.
The fact of the matter is, and I mentioned it before, I think you're always up against it when a section of fans aren't keen on your appointment. I think that was the case. You heard Russell say it himself. But it's results.
Yep.
It's results that get you the sack, and that's what it is. And the results haven't been good enough. They weren't good enough. Some of the, no, I mean the results, I just thought some of the performances, particularly the Bruges game, which, dear me, was staggering.
Yeah. There we are. Ali McCoy stays back alongside Andy Townsend tomorrow on break.
Throwing the players under the bus doesn't help either. It doesn't.
It was interesting. Let's bring in Roscoe McClellan, who's has skin in the game. He's a big Rangers fan. We've talked Rangers with him before. Comedian. Good afternoon, Roscoe.
How you doing, guys? You all right?
Not so bad. I mean, again, Ali's right, and Andy just said it as well. Was that it wasn't a massive shock to hear the news break, especially after the result yesterday. They were on Trans Europe Express last night, and Andy Brassel said over in Germany, Eintracht realised very quickly that they'd made a mistake with Eric Ten Hag. And they probably could have sacked him even quicker than 2 weeks, realising the error they'd made. Maybe it was a personality thing. You kind of sense that Rangers fans, and maybe the board, knew a month ago that this wasn't going to work. So why didn't they pull the trigger a little bit earlier?
Yeah, I think a lot of people spotted that very early, And there's a thing at Rangers, and it's outdated, but a lot of people who didn't want him to start with were going, well, he's not wearing this suit, or maybe he's not wearing a suit for the friendlies, or wears these brown brogues, But it's just these wee things. Sometimes if you go into a club that's you've got to play the part as well a wee bit, or you're just going to annoy the fans, and that's what happened. And the results were not good. I've been quite lucky. I've been so busy that I've barely got to see any of his tenure. So it's fine. I saw like a couple of games, and that was it.
It's also, the finger must be pointed to the people who gave him the job in the first place, because all right, he got Southampton promoted, but they were pretty poor in the Premier League, and he was very obstinate about the way he wanted them to play, because his ego wanted him to be one of those coaches that plays it out from the back and didn't want to be old-fashioned. And so
maybe they saw
for me, when they gave him the job, I couldn't believe it. I was thinking, what have you seen there that you think is going to be great for your club?
Maybe they saw a touch of Ange in him. Maybe saw a manager there that was kind of wedded to a philosophy and thought, yeah, that could work for us.
Yeah, a little bit, but Angie's philosophy was good. That was the issue. That worked up in Scotland, just running at teams and beating them down and going down the wings, putting it in. I couldn't really work out what Russell Martin was trying to do. It was like, well, eventually we'll get it to the wing, and then the winger will take about 6 touches and then play it back in to the midfielders, the centre mids, who will eventually shot. And I don't see what was going on, but it's just one of those, like, the main problem for Rangers was like worrying about teams, like, maybe we don't score, they get a smash and grab, but for some reason we weren't scoring, and Russell Martin was like, well, let's give them the chances to score as well. It was baffling, a baffling project that seemed like it was never going to work. The only time he got a result was when he against Livingston, he abandoned his philosophy and just threw everything at the wall.
So I suppose let's look to the future then. And the favourite in the betting is Steven Gerrard. So it's kind of going back to the future a bit. I mean, he did have that very memorable season. But since then, of course, it hasn't particularly worked out well for him at Villa. And he had a little spell in the Middle East as well. How do you feel about that, Oscar? Are you up for Gerrard coming back, or are you looking further afield?
Well, I guess it's like an old relationship. You should never go back, but then sometimes people are just destined to be together. Gerrard's, he loves wearing a suit and brown brogues. The fans love that. And obviously he would get more time, I think, than anyone else. Because what happened last time was they said that the board never backed him. They didn't get money, so he left. And this time we've got money now. And he managed to stop Celtic getting 10 in a row, so the fans will be happy to see him back. I think it's a win-win for the board and the team, really.
So you'd be up for that? I mean, some of the other front runners, Rafa Benitez, Sean Dyche is also in the bet. Graham Potter.
Sean's a great manager, but I don't think he's right for Rangers.
Well, why not?
Well, I'm not saying he can't do a big job, but it is a big job. They're a big club, and they want to play in a certain way.
He was at Everton. That's a big club.
No, he's a great manager. I'm not saying that, but I don't think. Well,
maybe the timing's not
Roscoe.
right. I mean, Rafa Benitez is the other one. It's kind of proven internationally and all that. But what about those other options?
I think Benitez would feel like an insane gamble. I think right now people just want some stability. I mean, obviously you could try and get McInnes from Hearts, who it felt like he was destined to do the Rangers job at some point, but he's at the top of the league and they're flying. I don't think he's going to leave to come to the 8th team in the league with all the issues. There was Muscat as another one as well. I don't see Dyche or Potter being the answer. Potter more than Dyche in a way, but I just think Gerrard's where it should go right now. just for a wee bit of stability.
Are you feeling Hearts is a bit of a third force at the moment? I mean, they haven't won it. I mean, it's interesting times, isn't it?
This tie-up with Tony Bloom, it's got to be connected. It's got to be, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think they're a first force. Honestly, I can see them going on and winning the league. They've got all the marks of champion teams, you know, like playing their derby there and scoring a last-minute goal to win the game 1-0. That's what you want. And they're scoring good goals as well. And their team's got a real Scottish core and some quality around it. Some real good signings they've brought in. So I think they might. Like Aberdeen last season, I could tell they were going to, fumble at some point. But Hearts don't look like a team that's going to stop. So it'll be an interesting one this year.
Yeah. They can't leave it too long. We've got that international break now, a couple of weeks. But if they can't leave it too long, Rangers, so it'll be interesting to see how quickly they move. And if it is going to be Steven Gerrard. So
you don't normally get rid of a bloke, do you, without having some other plan?
No, they would have been working on it. Roscoe, what are you up to comedy-wise at the moment?
Oh, well, actually, I went down to London there at the weekend and I caught the horrible cold in the tube. So I've cancelled a couple of things last night and tonight. But, I'm working on a tour for next year. And probably be back out to New Zealand. And I'm joining my friend, Christopher MacArthur-Boyd, on his tour all around England and Scotland next year. So look out for that. He's funny and I'm just hanging out with him, moving around.
Good. Well, good to talk to you as always. Appreciate your time. Thanks very much.
Thanks very much, guys.
Take care. Roscoe McClellan there, comedian and Rangers fan, very much up for the return of Steven Gerrard. Feels like the timing's right for him to come back. So, well, that is, I think he has come in really strong on the betting in the last few hours, so somebody must know something, but we'll keep an eye on that one for you, of course. Andy Brassel guides it, and he'll be the first to tell me that I should have said Leverkusen and not Eintracht. I had a bit of a senior moment. It was Leverkusen that decided on Ten Hag, of course. I'm also going to be chatting to Chris.
I could have corrected you.
I'm sorry about that. You could have done. Chris Lebkowski is going to join us, journalist and author. He's going to take us back to the 85-86 season. It was a real crossroads of at the time in English football. But Chris has written a new book about that, The Slum Sport, and he'll join us a little bit later.
We should have asked Roscoe about the shock result in the World Porridge Making Championships.
Yeah. I mean,
it wasn't won by a Scotsman.
Simply because, who was it won by? The
Norwegian man. He stunned Scotland by winning the Golden Spur.
They're kind of Scottish Norwegians, aren't they?
They are, yeah.
You listen to Hawksbee and Jacobs in partnership with Tool Station, standing behind every single tradesperson of Britain. Next stop, Tool Station. Now, don't forget, tomorrow on Drive with Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent, Richard Ashcroft will be in the studio, frontman for The Verve, of course. He's going to talk about touring with Oasis this summer, bit of Manchester United, his club, and he's going to play a few of his songs in the studio.
Lovely, I like it when they do that.
So Richard Ashcroft on Drive tomorrow afternoon from 4. Don't miss it. Time to head around Europe now and look at some of the big stories with Andy Brassel. Good afternoon, Andy.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good, thank you. Yes. Well, let's start in Spain, where the Spain's old firm had mixed results.
Yes.
Maybe we should start with Barca. That was I've been hearing good things about Sevilla. Maybe you can tell us if it was freakish or not. And Marcus Rashford scored a wonderful goal that counted for naught, really, ultimately. But 4-1, that was a proper shoeing, wasn't it?
I don't know if you've been hearing good things about Sevilla, you've maybe been hearing them from their board members. I mean, they're a total mess on and off the pitch. Bizarrely, after winning this game against Barcelona, they were temporarily fourth, which is remarkable when you consider how low their wage bill is at the moment, how badly they've managed things upstairs and on the pitch over the last couple of years. But they really had a plan for Barcelona. And Mateus Almeida, the Argentinian coach, he said, look, you see so many teams sit deep against Barcelona and defend, and they just get picked off eventually. So we had to find a different way to do it. Now, his different way to do it was to give them the hurry up early on with, wait for it, a 36-year-old Alexis Sanchez who couldn't get in the Udinese team last season up front. And Alexis had a great game. He was fantastic. He scored a penalty to open the scoring and created another one as well. It was a right menace. He didn't get taken off until stoppage time. Now, the score's slightly misleading because it was 2-0 to Sevilla. Then Marcus Rashford scored a brilliant but quite undeserved goal for Barcelona on the stroke of half-time. So he thought, OK, here we go. And really, their performance was so leggy after that. They got a penalty with Robert Lewandowski. Adnan Januzaj, remember him? He came on as sub for Sevilla to try and help sort of firm up the team. Gave away a penalty within a minute of coming on, which Lewandowski puts on the spot, does his little shuffle and then puts wide. And that's pretty much it. And as they're pushing and pushing and pushing, Sevilla get another couple on the break and people in the stands are in tears. They just can't believe it because Sevilla have been so far from genuine contention and really respectability for such a long time. They've been sort of circling the drain. That for them to be able to do this low-cost Sevilla is amazing. But I would go as far as to say it was the worst performance of Barcelona under Hansi Flick. It was that bad. I talked about it afterwards. Alejandro Balde said, look, we made just tons of individual errors. Frankie de Jong said, we just looked tired. And of course, there's still this row over Lamine Yamal because he started his first game since getting injured in the last international break in the week against PSG. Felt his groin again, didn't play in this game, won't be playing in the international game. So he's named by Luis de la Fuente, and then less than an hour later, Barcelona pulled him out. And Hansi Flick said in his press conference last week, I just get the impression really that the national teams aren't looking after our young players. Now, Luis de la Fuente said, I expected a bit different of Hansi Flick, but being that he's a national coach himself in his previous job, and he should know what the balance is like. But I mean, De La Fuente should know when you're a club coach, you don't care about any of that, do you? But it's so funny when you go backwards with Real Madrid. The whole discussion all week has been, has Xabi Alonso hit a major roadblock? Has he got any authority after this massive defeat last weekend in the derby against Atletico? 2 wins since then, and the return of Jude Bellingham with an excellent cameo against Villarreal at the weekend. They're top of the league.
Yeah,
it's off the league after all that hassle. I mean, it's really quite funny how Xabi Alonso is meeting so much resistance because he's trying to, wait for it, it sounds mad, introduce meritocracy at Real Madrid.
It was a good weekend for the Bellingham family as we head to Germany, wasn't it?
Yeah, and a slightly more modest cameo by Job, but he did come on and make a difference, a bit like a Jude Light, I suppose, in the closing stages of the game against Leipzig. And that was only a 1-1 draw for Dortmund against Leipzig, but every little moment counts, every impression he can make counts, because there's so much competition for places in that Dortmund midfield. They're second at the moment. They go to Bayern after the international break, which might lower expectations a notch or two. We'll see how that happens, but promising from him.
Yeah. Harry Kane. I mean, Harry Kane scores again. It's almost pointless saying it, really, isn't it?
Harry Kane at Oktoberfest is good, though.
Yeah, we did see the pictures at October. He's got a massive stein. I mean, I don't know how much beer he actually drinks, or whether that was
a massive stein.
He's got a massive stein. But, yeah, and they all have to dress in that gear, though, don't they? But another goal for him.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Elise looked rather less happy about it, as you might imagine, when they were having the promotional photos taken. But actually, the Oktoberfest thing is really important because Kane scored the middle goal in the 3-0 win at Eintracht Frankfurt. Bayern were brilliant on Saturday. Really, really good against one of the best teams in the Bundesliga. Luis Diaz scored after 15 seconds. He was man of the match. Serge Gnabry is playing fantastically at the moment, as is Elise. So even without Musiala, they look fantastic. I mean, it was really Luis Diaz's game. But in the closing stages, Harry Kane went off and he looked in a bit of distress after he collided with Joao Santos, the Eintracht goalkeeper. Everyone was a little bit worried about him. But the big thing about Oktoberfest is all the German journalists going, look, he's running to the tent for the beer. He's fine. So actually, that was the key part of the first Sunday of Oktoberfest, the fact that Kane was fit enough to run to the tent for his beer.
Imagine picking up a hamstring, running to the tent for the Oktoberfest beer. They'd never forgive you, would they?
That's the cure.
Yes. Ethan Mbappe scored, brother of course, in front of his brother, but politically he did something that probably didn't go down too well with his old club.
Well, just yeah, you can't be smiling, can you?
No.
You can't be smiling when your little brother scores. I mean, look, he went to see Lille against PSG because little brother Etienne was playing in this game. Came on, scored an equaliser quite near the end after PSG had gone 1-0 up, and it's quite funny because Mbappe Junior, and he is junior, he's like 7 years younger than him. He's taken to doing the folded arms celebration as well when he scores. He's a defensive midfielder, but he scored in 2 of the last home games now. And you can imagine he was a right little pest in the back garden because he can actually finish for such a deep-lying midfielder as well, who's had a ton of injuries since he arrived at Lille. And I think the optics of it are really interesting because, of course, he was making his way at PSG when Kylian was there. And then when Kylian went, PSG got rid of him pretty quickly. Now, look, he'd impressed when he played for PSG before Etienne Mbappe. A very different sort of player, but he looked a good player for
I think we struggled there for a moment.
It did go very Cadbury smash, but what can you do?
Wanted to try and get a Jamie Vardy update on Cremonese. We're going to try and do that if we can in a second and see how Jose's doing at Porto, but we are a bit tight for time now, so let's see if we can get Andy back on the line. Often those things clear themselves. Oh, we're struggling. Anyway, Jamie Vardy had a small contribution despite the fact they lost at Cremonese, and Jose got a 0-0 draw against Porto.
Well,
of course,
you'd have enjoyed that, yeah. Bit of a nemesis for him.
So thanks to Andy if he's still listening. Sorry the line went down. You'll catch up with, if you like a more sort of luxuriant take on the world of European football, Trans-Europe Express with Danny Kelly and Andy Brassel every Sunday night. And it's available, if you missed it last night, as a podcast, wherever you get your podcast. Still to come then. We're going to be taking you back to the 85-86 season and looking at its significance with author Chris Lepofsky. And Rob Moore talks Ronnie O'Sullivan's new Q and something I never knew about one of the big darts tournaments that doesn't go down particularly well with the great Luke Littler. That's all to come.
Rangers have been outrun and outfought too often under the sacked Russell Martin, and Ali McCoy says the rest of the Premiership could start to smell blood.
And Rangers, unlike a wounded animal can be very, very dangerous. Rangers are a wounded animal at this moment in time, but look anything but dangerous.
The board say Russell Martin's results did not meet expectations. He leaves Rangers 11 points off leaders' Hearts after winning just one league game this season. Forest legend Stuart Pearce, meanwhile, has told us the team just lack a bit of cutting edge and that the players are fighting hard for their new manager.
What's wrong with something being hard? Seriously, what's wrong with it? Why does everything have to be so... Why do we want everything just delivered nicely packaged? I'm sure your parents had a struggle in their life, right? And they didn't give up.
Postecoglou expects talks with the Forest board over the international break after going 7 games without a win. Now, Martin Ødegaard's expected to miss at least 3 weeks with a knee ligament injury. Arsenal's captain came off for the 3rd home game running as Arsenal went top with a win over West Ham. Meanwhile, Harry Kane insists he is fit to play for England this week. He's hurt his foot in Bayern's win over Frankfurt. And some very sad news indeed this morning. British and Irish lion Lewis Moody has been diagnosed with MND. In an emotional interview with the BBC, Moody says the hardest thing was telling his mum and 2 teenage boys. Former Scottish winger Kenny Logan is a spokesperson for the Doddy Weir Foundation.
I know Lewis. He's a top man. He's a really good lad.
Yep.
One of the nicest guys we'll meet, actually. And he's one of these guys that will always turn up and every time you see him, big smile and gives you a big hug. How you getting on? And we've got to do that for him now and his family.
There's more on this story and others at talksport.com.
Good afternoon, Paul Hawksbee, Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Danny Kelly was saying with 2 up top at the Villa and players who are a handful like Erling Haaland and long throws and keepers launching the ball up. It's like we've returned to the 80s.
It's all cyclical.
We're going to return to the 80s now, and quite a significant season. And it was the 85-86 season. Chris Lipovsky is a journalist and author and West Brom fan. And he has written the book, The Slum Sport, the story of that season. Good afternoon, Chris.
Hi, good afternoon.
Quite painful for you because you're a Baggies fan and you finished rock bottom that year. So you had to go through, in the research for the book, every terrible performance that year, I guess.
Yeah, I did. It's a strange one, really, because I think everyone's got that season where they switch on to football.
That was your first season?
That was my first year, and it kind of came to a head in the summer of 85 when I really got into football. And as you rightly say, West Brom had the season from hell. Yes. They won 4 games, and it was a campaign of utter farce, really, in all sorts of ways. And that wasn't the reason I wrote the book.
No, of course not.
I wrote it because it was a season, I think, that falls under the radar somewhat because of everything that happened in 84-85 with the culmination of Bradford and Heysel. It kind of gets forgotten a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. The book really is about, I mean, everything that was going on. I mean, you were just getting into football, but there was no way to watch football on telly because they couldn't agree a deal up until about Christmas, wasn't it? Which was a mess. So it's quite hard, that period where you wanted to consume more football. You weren't able to. And, of course, as you said, teams had been banned from Europe. They were terrible times. People were really down on football. Even you admitted You know, that period, you said you really didn't like going to Chelsea at that point. It got very horrible, very toxic.
Malevolent.
Of course, Chelsea won a cup that year. They won the full Members' Cup, which I'm sure you remember. You're absolutely right that my dad, who liked football but liked watching it on TV, and I remember asking him, will you take me to the Hawthorns? He said no, because it isn't safe. And he didn't like large crowds, and we were getting about 12,000 at the time, where, you know, the punchline writes itself. But yeah, it was a real, it wasn't good to admit that you liked football back then, and you had a situation where TV and football did not get on. I mean, I look at your studios now and everything is decked out, and it's shows a clear value of football, and back then it just wasn't the case, and nobody wanted to have any kind of ownership of the game.
It went on for quite a long time. It was only after Italia 90 that football started to come back again, didn't it, really? Obviously, there were always a lot of people loved it, but, you know, in a big way.
Yeah, this season, Chris, as you say, from a football point of view, was very exciting. It was that West Ham side that pushed Liverpool and Everton all the way and finished third. And they were miles ahead. I'd forgotten to look. I looked at the league table and looked through the book, just how much ground they had on United, who were fourth. You know, West Ham were stars there.
Very good West Ham.
That was a fantastic team, and Frank McAvenny and Tony Cottee were very kind enough to speak to me and give their insight. And the great thing is they are all still really close as friends and as former teammates.
The boys of 86.
Absolutely. And, you know, with maybe a stronger wind and maybe a slightly better start to that year, West Ham would have won the league. They had a period around January where they barely played because of bad weather, and that probably cost them in many respects.
Yeah, and it was interesting because you say you had a sort of less fashionable team winning the League Cup as well, which we see so often. It's normally Man City, isn't it?
Yeah.
When in doubt, Man City will win it. But Oxford, of course, won it that year, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, this was the era of the Milk Cup, which had very much been Liverpool's domain.
Yeah.
And, you know, Liverpool got to the semi-final, played QPR. QPR had the plastic pitch, and Kenny Dalglish notoriously hated that pitch. And they lost that particular semi, and Oxford came through to into the final and absolutely thrashed QPR. You know, of all the stories in the book, that's probably the one that remains the greatest for a particular club, that actual League Cup win.
You stuck it out, Chris, because you said there wasn't really a way to watch it on telly. You'd probably buy your copy of Shoot and whatever and keep. But there probably were a lot of kids of your age then who thought, well, I'll go and do something else instead then, you know, because I can't go to the match because it's too dangerous. I can't watch it on the telly because they can't sort a deal out. So you wonder if there was a bit of a generation of people that were sort of lost to football at that time.
I think there were. And, I mean, I was looking that we acquired this, my dad bought this TV that had teletext. And I was just starting to get into football, and I sort of graduated from comics to football magazines, and it lingered, it stayed with me, but certainly a lot of people turned their back. You know, Andy said that he wasn't really engaged, and Tottenham played West Brom that year, and I think 11,000 went to White Hart Lane to see Spurs win 5-0. And you couldn't imagine that now, and it's just a different world.
11,000 in that stadium would look quite poor.
Well, 11,000 in the lane. I mean, even that was pretty. Would have been rattling around. Then we got things like the Screen Sport Cup, and if it was that season or the season after, but I think it was probably a bit after that. But we had wonderful ways to keep teams busy because they weren't allowed to play in Europe.
Well, you had the full Members' Cup, which Chelsea won, which was for all the teams that didn't qualify for Europe in the top two divisions. A few withdrew before it had started, like Arsenal, Villa, and the Screen Sport Cup, difficult to say, was for the clubs that should have qualified for Europe. And I mean, it was that notoriously poor that the Liverpool-Everton final, which was over 2 legs, wasn't actually played until the following season. And there is an apocryphal story that Howard Kendall turned to his players before the final, said, right, out you go, let's get it over and done with, which kind of tells you really all you needed to know about that particular status of that competition.
I went to one. We played Liverpool at the Lane, and it wasn't a big crowd, but Pat Jennings came. He either started, I can't remember, he either started or he came on. The Spurs statos will know. But it was just bizarre. It was the only reason you went, because you were going to see Pat play for Tottenham again after he'd come back from Arsenal. So, yeah, weird times. What else did you glean from, as you did your research on that sort of era? What were the other interesting talking points from your point of view?
I mean, there were so many, really. I think the big one was that it was a season that football needed. And it wasn't without its controversy or politics and even tragedy, because it was the year Jock Stein died.
Yeah.
And it was only one of very few games to be screened that particular period. And Jim Rosenthal and Martin Tyler taught me through that particular day, which was very difficult for them. But it was just the notion that actually there were sports like snooker, F1, athletics, that just had great attraction than football. And when I was doing my research and I was going through newspapers at that time, for instance, the Sunday Mirror season preview was basically one page of Henry Cooper giving his predictions about football, an ex-boxer. And he actually predicted Arsenal would win the league, which maybe...
I think he was an Arsenal fan, Henry. Who was going to argue with him?
Exactly, yeah. So that's where football was. You know, the media, the newspapers gave very little... supplementary coverage other than what you'd get with a basic match report and maybe a back page or two. It was all very thin on the ground in that respect.
It's a useful reminder, this of how far we've come, because sometimes...
I mean, the real history lesson for maybe young kids who've got into football and think it was always this glamorous and the game was always this sexy, but it really wasn't, was it?
No, it wasn't. And one thing about Liverpool, Alan Hansen famously described this team. They lost to Everton in around February time. Alan Hansen, the captain of the Liverpool team, famously said it was the worst Liverpool team he'd ever played in, which was a precursor to maybe another prediction he was to make a few years later about Man United, because he got that one wrong as well. But it was, I think the notion that the biggest club in the country, the most successful club, Liverpool, would replace a veteran manager like Joe Fagan with a player manager who was only 34, who would then go on to win the league and cup in his first year. It's just a story that probably isn't told enough.
It isn't, but it's interesting that I think everybody in their minds, I can see Kenny's goal that he scored against Chelsea to win the title. And we remember that cup final. It wasn't the greatest cup final. Was it? Gary Lineker scored first and then they came roaring back, but it was sort of dominated ultimately by Merseyside, wasn't it, that year, that season? Yeah,
and that's an important point, really. It was the apex of that Merseyside joust between Liverpool, who were always there, and Everton, who suddenly emerged under Howard Kendall. And it was a great Everton team. And the sad thing is that Everton didn't win a thing in this particular year, but, you know, to finish second in league and cup now, they'd probably take that. And it was it was just a reflection of how dominant the city of Liverpool, red and blue, was at that point.
Well, best of luck with the book, Chris. Lovely to see you. It's a shame you have to come in after Albion lost the weekend. It was about the worst performance, Ryan Mason was saying. They weren't at it, were they? But you pleased with him? He seems to be doing a pretty decent job overall.
Yeah, I think on the whole, he's had a really difficult scenario in the last two windows. We've probably lost our three best players to clear PSR to ensure we don't get any sanctions for PSR. So we're rebuilding. It's going to take a while, probably a couple more windows, but I'd like to think he continues on the right path. So far so good. Saturday was a bad result, but hopefully they can use the break to sort that out.
Good stuff. Chris, all the best.
Thank you.
Chris Lepowski's book, The Slum Sport, the story of the 85-86 season, is out now in hardback. Just remind us of the publishers.
Yeah, the publishers are Curtis Sport. So if you wish to buy it, it's curtis-sport.com and head for the books section.
And it'll be on Amazon and everywhere else, won't it?
Fingers crossed, yeah.
Yeah, nice one. Cheers, Chris. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Still to come then, Ronnie's Cue will be discussing, not a horse, will be discussing that made by a fellow player, which is quite weird.
Yeah, well,
you think it was like something from the repair shop, but anyway. Darts, a competition going on up in Leicester, the Grand Prix, that has a different start, which has vexed a few of the players, including Luke Littler. We're here with Tool Station, ready to help out over 580 stations nationwide. Next stop, Tool Station. Hawksbee, Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. We're going to talk a bit of snooker and darts now. And you would think sort of the art of cue making would be a sort of craftsman. Then we've spoke to cue makers on this show, people who've made cues. For Ronnie, he's been at the game for years and years. But this is a relatively new man coming to the table, and it's a player as well from Thailand. Sunny Akani does a sideline in producing cues for players, and it has transformed Ronnie O'Sullivan. We're going to I said we weren't going to start with that. Now we have started with it. I've told the producer I'm going to start with a dart.
You did.
I'm great, aren't I? Brilliant. Another senior moment. So look, let's hear from Ronnie now.
It isn't just me.
Let's hear from Ronnie now. He was talking to Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent about it last week.
This one is phenomenal. I'm so happy with it. It's actually made by another professional snooker player, Sunny Carney from Thailand. Someone said, you've got to try his cues. I was like, you can't make cues, surely. And then I used it, and I was like, wow, this is unbelievable. And I said to him, right, make me another one then, because I just wanted to see if it was a fluke. And then he made me another one, and that one's just the same. And I was like, wow. So, phenomenal cue, really happy. And, I'm enjoying playing with it,
Yeah, I wonder what it is that makes a great cue.
Let's try and find out. And Ronnie said it was his friend from Dubai called Mohammed who recommended the guy. So you're going to have to narrow that down a bit, Ronnie.
Probably.
Really? Oh, yeah. Mohammed from Dubai. I know the fella. Anyway, Rob Moore joins us now from The Sun, was writing about this at the weekend. Hello, Rob.
Hi, I hope Sonny's getting a commission on what Ronnie wins prize money.
Yeah,
it's a good point.
The cue maker gets maybe like a caddy. That's very true. It's quite strange, isn't it, for someone who plays? I mean, he's obviously got the perfect cue for himself, but then the idea that you would go out and sort of sell them commercially and make them for others is quite interesting.
It's quite counterproductive, isn't it? Because you're giving an advantage to your rivals, aren't you? If you're giving him the cue. Especially if he plays Ronnie at some stage this year. So Sonny's from Thailand, as you say. He's won 51 grand over the last 2 years, but he has this sideline of making cues. John Parrish was the guy we often go to, isn't he, for commentary?
That's right, yeah.
Often posing with the world champion. But Sonny's got this sideline that he does. And clearly, I mean, Ronnie's a decent judge of cues, isn't he? Even though he snapped his previous one in half. I mean, if he says it's phenomenal, if he calls the guy a genius, then your ears prick up, don't they? And this guy's ranked 72 on the World Snooker Tour, but clearly is earning more accolades off the table for what he's doing with those equipment. And if you play snooker to a very high level, you talk to the top players, every cue is different and every cue is particular. And they get a bit upset when the cue is misplaced, when they go on airlines or it's broken or it's damaged. Because it's part of them. I mean, Ronnie had that cue that he snapped in January. He snapped it in half for many years. And for him to find a new one, and he set 2 147s, didn't he, in Saudi in that semi-final of the same contest, shows that immediately he's got to it. And I think Ronnie's a dangerous animal this year with that cue, with that newfound confidence. And a few players might be very critical of Sonny for doing that for the Rocket.
It's interesting because, he probably plays well with it, and then that sort of begets him playing well again. And then I suppose, is it the cue? Is it the chicken or the egg? He plays well, and it's hard to know. I'm sure the cue is brilliant, but ultimately, if he put it in my hands, I'd be terrible.
Yeah, I think in my hands as well. But I mean, look, Ronnie can play left and right, can't he? Yeah. He's clearly one of those. He's one of those guys you watch, a bit like Roger Federer in tennis or maybe Muhammad Ali in boxing all those decades ago. Is as good as his sport that anyone else has ever come before. Ronnie is as good at snooker that anyone else can compare. The fact he can pick up any cue, but to his mind, to his perfectionist perspective, if he's very satisfied with the cue, he can let go the shackles, can't he? Basically, he's playing tomorrow in the Zhang Grand Prix in China. So look, we'll see how he gets on. But there's £177,000 available this week to the winner. And as I say, I wonder if Sonny's going to get a small percentage of that. He's the champion on the week.
Yeah, that would be nice. Now, let's turn to the darts. I'll take it you're up in Leicester. It's the World Grand Prix getting underway today. And I didn't realise this. You had a chat with Luke Littler. He's not a massive fan of the event. Nothing to do with Leicester before they complain. It's the fact that you start and end on a double. And Luke was telling you that you see players go, for treble 20 and then realise they just forget in the moment. And he's not a massive fan of it. I mean, has that always been the case with this tournament?
Yeah, I mean, it's only his second appearance. Last year, he lost in the first round. So basically, it's quite unique. It used to be in Dublin. It's now transferred to Leicester the last couple of years. And it's unique in the sense that to start the 5:01 countdown, you have to start on a double. So you have to throw a double, and then you can begin the 5:01 countdown and clearly finish the leg on a double as well. Where traditionally, as you say, bang, 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 treble 20, that's your sort of muscle memory, isn't it, when you're throwing at the board? And there have been cases when players have done that and thought, I've just scored 0. What's going on? Oh, no, I have to start with a double. So it is unique, and it gets a lot of I mean, Phil Taylor won it 11 times. Van Germen's won it multiple times. So the regular top guys do win it. And that is something Luke is going to have to find in his armoury.
Yeah.
When I spoke to him in Manchester last month, he said, I don't really like it. I don't like the format. I think he's just a rhythm player. He likes getting up there and playing that style. So it does throw up results. He's playing Jan van Veen, who's a similar guy to him. They came up for the youth ranks. They're playing tomorrow. And I'll tell you something, Luke, if he's not been practicing it, and it might be quite a banana skin for him.
Yeah, I remember watching it, I think maybe last year or the year before. It's quite exciting, isn't it, when a player can't find that double and his opponent's suddenly away and,
Yeah, it puts more pressure on. It's a good... I mean, I think they should have a round-the-clock tournament as well. Round the clock against the clock. I think we'd all watch that.
Well, it's quite funny if you end up, the guy's on a 9-darter and you haven't scored anything because you can't keep getting a double. That would be quite funny to watch.
We should just talk, finally, Rob, about this deal between Matchroom and Riyadh season. Turkey Al Sheikh, obviously the relationship they've built up in boxing has been extended to all the other sports that Matchroom are involved in, darts and snooker as well. How exciting is this potentially for those sports?
Yeah, I mean, so darts is going to Saudi Arabia in January. It's going to be a dry January for the fans and the players because there'll be no alcohol sold there. What a strange environment to watch a darts event with not a single person having some alcoholic beverage on the event. And that's happening in January. Now, there's no record in history of darts in Saudi. It's purely money. It's purely because of this deal, isn't it, basically? Why not go to Asia? Why not have an event in Africa? There's certainly a discussion there about this is a global World Series. Why not have it in different parts? But they're going to Bahrain in January, then they're going to Saudi Arabia. It's part of this Matchroom deal, which we saw in the Netflix documentary with Turkey Al Sheikh. He's brought up the boxing. He did the gold ball for snooker. He promised something crazy for darts, but thankfully we just got a traditional 501. But who knows? When we get to the event in the new year, he might put some money up for a 9-darter. I don't know. But at the moment, it's a standard event. It's part of the World Series.
Maybe he's the man to get my round-the-clock going. I'm going to have a word with Turkey Al Sheikh via Jim. He knows him. Jim White, of course. Thank you, Rob. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Rob Moore there, writer on snooker and darts and more for The Sun. Andy's going to dip into his many notes and nonsense that he collates. And can I shout some numbers out again?
Yeah, you can do that. I've got some other stuff as well.
Big weekend, the WSL, and we may touch on that. We're also going to be talking England. We're going to hear from hopefully the gaffer and some of the players ahead of that game against Wales on Thursday. Then we'll be meeting up all those that have not cried off sick after the weekend's football. And we're going to talk F1. It was quite lively in Singapore. And James Allen will be giving us all the fallout from that as well. Plus Troy Deeney to look at some of the big stories of the weekend. That's the final hour. Yes, as Andy was saying earlier on, Troy Deeney not massively impressed with Manchester United at the weekend. He'll be telling us why and also why he's been moonlighting for the NFL. That's all to come. First, Matt Hutchinson has the sports headlines.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Supporting van owners to get the job done. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Thanks, Paul. Good afternoon. Nico O'Reilly has received his first senior England call-up. The Man City youngster joins Thomas Tuchel's squad following another injury to Reece James. Well, one man not selected is, of course, Jack Grealish. Despite his strong start to life at Everton, Ali McCoist has given his verdict.
I think Jack's move has been a breath of fresh air for everybody involved, and it's great. And all I would say is it would just be a matter of time before he's back in the squad, the way he's performing.
Meanwhile, in the Wales camp, Aaron Ramsey has pulled out. You can hear Craig Bellamy's side take on England live on talkSPORT this Thursday. Elsewhere this afternoon, the rugby community is rallying around Lewis Moody after he shared he's been diagnosed with motor neurone disease. During a stellar career, Moody got 71 England caps, captained his country, and of course was part of that famous 2003 World Cup winning squad. Scotland rugby star and MND campaigner Kenny Logan has been speaking to talkSPORT.
You need the money to try and find that cure. It's like any other the big diseases out there that are finding cures. They've got a lot of money behind them, so that's what we have to keep trying and keep drumming up as much support as we can.
Luton have sacked Matt Bloomfield after less than a year in charge. He leaves the Hatters 11th in League One. And David Cogan has been appointed as the first chair of English football's new independent regulator. The sports media rights executive says he wants to make the sport a more sustainable industry.
talkSPORT News.
3 people have been jailed after violent disorder outside a hotel housing asylum seekers in Essex. And a victim of the Nottingham attacks 2 years ago has been given an award for bravery. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit, your go-to destination for quality tyres from great brands like Continental. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
We're expecting the rest of this afternoon to stay fairly warm, dry in most parts of the UK with plenty of sunny spells.
On 1089 and 1053 medium wave, cheese and onion, salt and vinegar, honey and mustard.
Salty and shaky, flavoursome lunchtime radio.
Still crispy
after all these years.
The all-enduring Hawksbee Jacobs on talkSPORT.
Good afternoon, it's Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. James Allen from the world of Formula One joins us. A lot of fallout from the Singapore Grand Prix. Bit of a coming together in the race.
Yeah.
It's not gone down well between 2 teammates.
Conditions were difficult.
If you're not aware, we'll tell you more about that later on. Angelina Kelly is in the England camp up at St George's Park. We're going to hear from Gerard Quanso a little bit later on, amongst other things. And we will touch on the big stories from the WSL weekend. And, Troy Deeney joins us for a chat. It's been out and about, covering a multitude of sports. Well, 2. Football and a bit of American football this week. He popped up on the telly. He'll tell us more about that later on and his love of the game. In the meantime, Andy, you've got your notes out, I see.
Yeah, I've got a few sort of more current ones.
Give us your current material then, Andy. Let's get that.
Just one from this morning. I'm fascinated the Sun spent so much time trying to get rid of Gary Lineker, really criticising. Now they keep publishing all these current letters that aimed at the new match of the day. So this one says, match of the day is going downhill. Wayne Rooney is no pundit and Alan Shearer talks rubbish at times. And then he does. It was better with Gary Lineker, says Gerald.
Well, there are people writing letters, not necessarily the editorial take on it.
No, but
the letters used to give him a kick in, didn't
Oh, yeah, everything gave him a kicking, really. But that's the way it's... There's a very funny moment in the coverage of the F1 yesterday. I don't know if you saw it with Martin Brundle.
No.
And he goes up to, admittedly, a bloke that looked exactly like Lewis Capaldi.
Yeah.
And he said, Lewis, great to see you and everything. And it turned out it was his brother.
Oh, wow.
Blimey, he does look like him.
Really? They're not twins?
No, I don't think they are, but they're very similar looking. Right. And then Martin blamed his production team and said, I was told that you had a cap on, but they obviously made the same mistake because Lewis's brother was wearing a cap and the other bloke wasn't. But there you go.
It's always a good idea to blame the production team.
I find so.
Yeah, that's the way to go with it.
And I've got a nice little reader's offer before we move on.
Oh, good, yeah.
This is a reader's offer parka. I know you love a bit of outerwear.
Yeah.
So keep out the cold, rain and snow with the men's fleece-lined waterproof parka. What about the wind?
Yeah.
Come on.
No, it's not windproof. It'll do the rest. This is a bizarre story, Andy.
Oh, yeah.
Photo albums from snooker aces Steve Davis's 1990 wedding are tipped to fetch £10,000 at auction in Newark Notts.
Really?
I mean, who wants, with respect, and I'm sure it was a great day, and why are they coming under the hammer?
Yeah.
Who's got hold of them?
That's weird.
And why would you want Steve Davis's old wedding photos?
You wouldn't. Well, doesn't Steve Davis want his old wedding photos? Maybe he doesn't.
I don't know. I mean, I think...
Well, I don't know. We don't know. I suppose you can imagine a situation where you would get rid of them, but I suppose I don't know.
We don't know the circumstances in which they went under the hammer, but I'll see if I can find out for you.
I always like to take a look on a Sunday to see what sort of TV shows are coming up for the week, especially on International Week. And I do. These two are brilliant. Talk about Me Too television. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Where there's a great idea.
Yeah.
And then somebody goes, well, it's a cross between Race Across the World and
So you go into the rival broadcaster and no one's prepared to say, hang on, isn't this just a complete copy of Traitors?
I know.
Is it just me or no, it's not. It's different because, it's got a different presenter and it's subtly different.
Honestly, this one, Murder Before Evensong, based on a book by Reverend Richard Coles.
Yeah.
5 series has a great handle on how small things mean a lot. It stars Matthew Lewis as a sleuthing canon. I mean, how many vicars have we got? There's Father Brown, Grantchester, Sister Boniface. I bet there are other ones as well.
The Reverend Richard Coles knows that world because he's a Reverend Richard.
He knows the world of being a reverend, but he's never actually investigated a crime, has he? I wouldn't imagine he has.
Surely the book for the Reverend Richard Coles to write is the vicar that becomes a pop star that goes on the road.
That would be better, really.
Yeah.
And this one is even worse. Worlds apart. Imagine an age gap.
Pardon?
Age gap.
Yes.
Take on Race Across the World. And you're most of the way to Worlds Apart, a new 5-part challenge show that pairs younger Brits who've barely travelled with pensioners who thought they'd never travel again. I mean, that is just basically Race Across the World, isn't it?
But with a spin on.
Oh, you can win £50,000.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm in then.
Okay, give us a number.
Yes, I'll do this just first because we did ask you about Willie Caballero on his tracksuit top, the Chelsea coach, has CW, not WC, Caballero Willie, which makes him sound like some country and western star.
or an English public school register.
Yeah, that's it. And I couldn't work out why. We just wondered if it was a mistake at the printers. This is a corker. Pete in Sheffield says, my mum and dad went to the baker's to order a cake for my sister. And they said, well, we'll make it a Victoria sponge with hundreds and thousands and all that rubbish. Someone wrote it down. They collect the cake and it said, happy birthday, Katie. We're hundreds and thousands and all that rubbish.
Excuse me. That's funny.
They'd written it in icing.
Brilliant.
That's fantastic. Yeah, we've had a few of those that all went slightly wrong at the printers. One's a bit long, but the gist of it was somebody who was doing some work for Equity, logging actors' names. They got a workie in. They got a sort of work placement person who decided it might be fun, rather than putting the people's names in, to put what they did, like that bloke from EastEnders or that woman who used to be in Murder Before Evensong.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, though, a letter went out to an Equity member that said, dear, that bald one who can't sing.
Oh, no.
Yes. So, yeah, a bit of a cock-up at the printers.
Not ideal.
Talksport.com, text 81089, tweet TSH&J if you've got some more than those. And he's got his cuttings out. I'm going to give him a number, and he'll go to the cutting. Yeah. He's got 111,
133,
133. Is 16 gone?
16? Let's have a look. 16.
What's number
16's gone.
Oh, okay, 17. I won't make you stray too far.
Oh, yeah, I like this one. Vanessa Feltz.
Oh, yeah.
Says she likes her chat show to be unpredictable.
Right.
It's absolutely the opposite of unpredictable. It's 4 people sitting on a couch talking about the day's news. It's the most predictable programme on television. Oh, I love it to be unpredictable.
Maybe if someone, did fire a cannon halfway through it. That might be it. Possibly.
No disrespect to Vanessa.
No, of course not, Andy. 22?
22.
You got on 22.
In your
Let's have a look.
song sheet. Let's have a look.
It's all quite scattergun.
22.
Yeah.
What have I got now? There it is. Burberry's back-to-school range will cost parents... I know. Will cost parents £2,700 compared with just £67 in Asda. It's not compulsory. You don't have to buy it. It's not like you're forced to buy this. There's no.
So is this a kind of Burberry, Asda's Burberry style? Oh, also, who goes to school in a Burberry school uniform? It's that sort of it's that checkered look. Imagine that being your blazer, like a Burberry blazer.
And it also says the upmarket fashion brand, which has just signed Chelsea ace Cole Palmer as a model. You think, okay, fair enough. I'm not sure about that. Has launched...
Not Asda, you mean Burberry.
Burberry, not Asda. I mean, he's a great footballer, but I don't see him as a model myself, but there we go.
Okay.
He's launched pricey togs for next week's new term.
Pricey togs. That is such a tabloid phrase. You have one more?
One more.
Can I have 88?
88.
I won't do the bingo vernacular. It's probably not very PC these days.
Very good.
88, if you've got it.
Oh, it's a bit of column fodder.
This is someone that you write to column for one of the newspapers and you think it's money for old rope.
Well, it absolutely is money for old rope. She writes every time I read a bit in the column, I think you do realise people are reading this.
Yeah, she's getting paid for it as well.
I know.
Don't knock it.
Here goes. I'm such a busy bee in the morning sun. So you already tell it's going to be terrible from the headline. It's this wonderful weather. The early mornings are heavenly. The shimmering sunshine makes it so easy to get a good start on the day. I was feeling rather smug about this, watering the pots, dealing with some personal admin and making chicken stock before 7 a.m. when my boyfriend wandered down, bleary-eyed and critical of what he regarded as an unnecessary amount of early morning activity. He was having none of my smugness. Did you not, he asked, read the article in the Daily Mail the other day saying it was beneficial for your health to spend time doing nothing?
That's it, is it?
That's it. So basically, I got up, I did some stuff before my boyfriend got up. He got up and said, why are you so busy?
It's also 7 o'clock in the morning, you're standing there scratching yourself. You don't immediately think, I'll just knock up some chicken stock. Leave it to 7:30 at least.
I would.
Anyway,
good stuff.
The latest episode of 21 Minutes to Go, the podcast with Andy Goldstein and Jason Cundy, is out now. This week, the podcast takes an unusual turn as Jason goes all Brian Cox. Which one, though? The one from Succession? On Andy, and gives him an education on the moon. Not literally on the moon.
That Brian Cox.
Yeah.
Professor Brian.
Yeah.
When it's a half moon, what's covering the other half?
I don't know whether you're serious. No,
I'm deadly serious.
Earth.
What are you talking about? Are you joking?
Earth's covering the...
I can see it in the sky. It's half a moon.
I know, but...
What do you mean Earth? So I'm looking up at the sky.
Okay, so I know, but what do you think lights the moon up? What do you think when it's lighting the sky? What do you think is lighting the moon up?
Well, I'd imagine the sun.
Right. Okay. We cast a shadow on the moon.
Oh, I see.
The sun's behind us.
Well, I think it's fair to say we're all learning on today's podcast.
Yeah,
every day
is Patrick Moore.
Every day's a school day. If you haven't heard it already, go and check out 21 Minutes to Go with Andy Goldstein and Jason Cundy. It's available on your favourite podcast provider now.
Jason sent me a lovely message after we were chatting after the game.
Yes.
And he made a very good point, and he's so right that those moments, like the Esteban winner, are so rare, but you've got to savour them, and it does make all the other stuff, all the other...
No, of course it does, That's why we keep going back.
Exactly.
We don't go back for the relentless misery of supporting the team.
That's true.
Being turned over by the club, having our pockets emptied by them. We go back for little moments like, scoring a last-minute winner.
Yeah.
And the belief that it could happen again. Anyway, we're here with our good friends at Tool Station, ready to help with over 580 stations nationwide. Next stop, Tool Station. And we're going to be in the England camp with our own Angelina Kelly up at St George's Park very shortly.
Delta Junction 4, the turn-off the Blackwater Valley route, and West Yorkshire, the M1 southbound, there's a lane shut there for a broken down vehicle as well, between Car...
Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Before we head up to St George's Park and chat to our own Angelina Kelly, we're going to hear from the England and Bayer Leverkusen defender Jarrod Quansah speaking to the media ahead of the game with Wales on Thursday. It's live on talkSPORT. He spoke about his journey from the under-21s to the first team.
The good thing with the FA, since I've been sort of part of the setup, it's creating a real belief that we can win it, and when you do win it from younger ages, I think it becomes more of a, you believe you can win it, and it's not a hope as much. And I think that's sort of a real strong message that's getting put out to sort of the younger age groups moving up now, because there's so many players that are breaking through, and so many players that have won things in the younger age groups now, which is unbelievable for experience and going far in cup competitions for your country in different environments, different hostile places that you can play in. It's a really good place to be, I think. England at the moment, where you're getting a lot of young, new, hungry players that are wanting to win for the country.
Yeah, Nico O'Reilly has been added to that list. Let's head up to St George's Park. Angelina Kelly is there for talkSPORT. Hi, Angelina.
Hello.
Hiya. So, Nico O'Reilly's in for Reece James, who's had to pull out with an injury. And, as Jarrod Quansah was saying there, it's a sort of testimony to what Lee Carsley's been doing with the 21s, that these guys are ready to step up.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you look at somebody like Jarrod Quansah, and it feels like he's doing everything that he can possibly do to try and get that important cap for England in the, at senior level. We've seen him win the Euros at under-19, the under-21s, obviously making the move to Bayer Leverkusen, ensuring that he's got that game time. So, yeah, it was really great, hearing from him. For me personally, Thomas Tuchel's press conference on the Friday, he was talking a lot about the team spirit and the teamwork, and how in the last camp it was at the highest level in his experience, and that's why he wanted to keep this, a very similar squad together. And so when I got here today, I really wanted to see, what the vibe was like at the camp, what everybody had to say, how it felt, what the energy was like, and it really does feel very, very together. You mentioned Nico O'Reilly, had a really good chat with him. Of course, that will be on kick-off tonight, and then also spoke to John Stones, which will be available to hear on the breakfast show tomorrow. But yeah, really, really good to speak to them. I don't know if it was done on purpose that I'm a Manchester United fan and they're both Man City players, but it was all good fun.
Yeah, no James, no Livramento, and I would have said O'Reilly is more a left-sided player. So,
well, they've got Jed Spence who can play right, but he was called up last time to play left. So yeah, it's a bit of an issue at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that left side is going to be really, really key, and was actually speaking to Henry Winter about that earlier today. And, you know, you look at somebody like Dan Burn, who could potentially play in that position. You speak about Jed Spence as well, definitely an option. It feels like, you know, the general consensus is that long term, if everybody's fit, you know, somebody like Livramento really does, you know, dominate that area. But, you know, Miles Lewis-Skelly as well, Thomas Tuchel mentioned in the press conference about how it's important for him to get game time, because it isn't just enough to to be, he described it a good citizen in camp. It's about getting those minutes as well. So I think for Mars Lewis-Skelly, it'll be really interesting to see, who he goes with for this friendly against Wales and this World Cup qualifier against Latvia.
A good citizen. He's winding you up even more with Manchester City, isn't he? Yeah, that's exactly that.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
They're coming at me left, right and centre.
Let's touch on some of the stories from the WSL, Angelina. That's what we normally chat to you on a Monday about. Some interesting results this weekend. A couple of the big guns didn't get it all their own way, did they?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I have to say, take a bow to Manchester City, because going into this season, I think there was, a lot of concerns when you think about they've got a new manager. Can players like Lauren Hemp, Viviana Miedema, Khadija Shaw, can they all stay fit? And I know that Hemp has had, her setbacks, but I think if this Manchester City team can stay fit, then they will do great things this season. Of course, getting a victory over Arsenal at the weekend was massive. There's a lot of talk about, for Arsenal, could this mean that the title race is over for them? I think it's a little bit too early in the day, but at the same time, Chelsea were unbeaten last season, and we've seen it before go down to the wire, go down to points, goal difference, etc. So I know that Arsenal will be feeling very frustrated. I think Tottenham, Paul, I think they've been absolutely fantastic. Their new signing, the new signing that they've got, cannot stop scoring goals. She's been absolutely fantastic. But I think, under this new manager, Martin Ho, Spurs seem really good. And, to be in that top four already is massive.
Chelsea drew, didn't they, Andy?
This
week. Well, Manchester United.
I only saw the highlights, but it looked like United had slightly the better of the game and a lovely equaliser.
Yeah, definitely. I think as we've said, me being a Manchester United fan, there was a lot of worry going into this, because we know what Chelsea can do. One thing that they have that Manchester United don't have is squad depth. The fact that they can have an Aggie Beaver-Jones who's scoring goals for fun. You can also have, Sam Kerr waiting in the wings, one of the best players, one of the best strikers that the WSL has seen. So I think it was a concern, but I think Manchester United gave a really good account of themselves. And of course, it's a big week for them, because they will be playing for the first time in the Champions League group stages. So I think for Chelsea, they won't be happy that they've already dropped a few points, but they are still unbeaten at this point. They've not lost a game, so I think that's the main takeaway for Chelsea. But great for Manchester United. You look at the juxtaposition of the men's team versus the women's team, and it's very different, to say the least.
The two clubs really struggling. West Ham and Liverpool, 9 games, 9 defeats. That is not great.
Yeah, it isn't. And I know that we've spoken about Liverpool a few times. They, of course, sold Olivia Smith to Arsenal as the first £1 million signing, and they got a very good profit from that. And you have to question if they've invested that right. You look at Liverpool, worldwide, Liverpool Football Club is massive, and you want to see the women's team, on those same levels as the men's team. They have Gareth Taylor, who's the former Manchester City manager. People questioning, will he be given a transfer window or two? You've got to give him a little bit more time. But at this point, Liverpool could be relegated, and that's a really big name to lose. And also, you look at West Ham. I've been to a couple of their games. They really have struggled. I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen with Shakira Martinez, who was their top goal scorer last season. Feel like she needs to be getting a little bit more game time, in my opinion, but be interesting to see if she stays. A lot of clubs could probably do with a striker, and be interesting to see what happens in January with her. But yeah, very concerning from both sides, and you're hoping that they will be able to find the feet, but someone's got to be relegated, and unfortunately at the moment it seems like it's going to be one of those two teams.
Angelina, thanks as always. We'll catch up with you soon.
Thank you.
Angelina Kelly, they're up at St George's Park, and the England-Wales game and the Latvia game next week, both live on talkSPORT. And big game in women's football next week. It's Chelsea v Spurs in the Women's Super League, and we'll bring you that one next Sunday at midday on talkSPORT too. So still to come, we're going to be joined by Troy Deeney, who I didn't realise this, but Andy said was less than complimentary about Manchester United.
Second half.
Despite their 2-0 win over Sunderland. We'll see what Troy's issue was with it. And his love of the NFL, because he popped up on the Channel 5 broadcast yesterday. So he'll tell us more about that and look at some of the big stories of the day. And we will also talk F1 with James Allen. That's all to come.
Rangers have been outrun and outfought too often under the sacked Russell Martin, and Ali McCoy says the rest of the Premiership could start to smell blood.
And Rangers, unlike a wounded animal can be very, very dangerous. Rangers are a wounded animal at this moment in time, but look anything but dangerous.
The board say Russell Martin's results did not meet expectations. He leaves Rangers 11 points off leaders' Hearts after winning just one league game this season. Forest legend Stuart Pearce, meanwhile, has told us the team just lack a bit of cutting edge and that the players are fighting hard for their new manager.
What's wrong with something being hard? Seriously, what's wrong with it? Why does everything have to be so... Why do we want everything just delivered nicely packaged? I'm sure your parents had a struggle in their life, right? And they didn't give up.
Postecoglou expects talks with the Forest board over the international break after going 7 games without a win. Now, Martin Ødegaard's expected to miss at least 3 weeks with a knee ligament injury. Arsenal's captain came off for the 3rd home game running as Arsenal went top with a win over West Ham. Meanwhile, Harry Kane insists he is fit to play for England this week. He's hurt his foot in Bayern's win over Frankfurt. And some very sad news indeed this morning. British and Irish lion Lewis Moody has been diagnosed with MND. In an emotional interview with the BBC, Moody says the hardest thing was telling his mum and 2 teenage boys. Former Scottish winger Kenny Logan is a spokesperson for the Doddy Weir Foundation.
I know Lewis. He's a top man. He's a really good lad.
Yep.
One of the nicest guys we'll meet, actually. And he's one of these guys that will always turn up and every time you see him, big smile and gives you a big hug. How you getting on? And we've got to do that for him now and his family.
There's more on this story and others at talksport.com.
.org.
It just struck me that we spoke to Matt Bloomfield and Ruben Selles at the start of the season, and they're both gone. So any managers outside the Premier League, don't speak to us. We're cursed. Anyway, time now for today's Bet Builder with our friends at Paddy Power. We welcome Fern Buckley. Going to look ahead to tomorrow night. The Women's Champions League returns. Arsenal play Lyon, Meadow Park in the Champions League. Good afternoon, Fern.
Good afternoon. Happy Monday to you both.
Indeed. Yes. So just explain how the Bet Builder works.
Yeah, we've all had a pick of combination of bets across different markets, added them all together to get some overall value. Paddy Power, they've then put a £10 bet down, hoping we get it right, because when we do, and it will happen, all the money goes to the Attitude Foundation, who do wonderful work with the LGBT community.
Okay.
Yeah, it did happen last year. Once.
Mariona Caldente to score or assist any time for Arsenal.
Yeah, I like this one. Scored once this year, had 2 assists within 5 matches. But taking a look at last season in the Champions League, she was a crucial player. 8 goals in 15 matches. So she's going to hopefully get into the rhythm of it all in this competition. She's a big influencer in what happens higher up the pitch. She's not afraid to go on the attack. So once again, this could be a big game for her. That is in at 5-2.
Andy, you have gone.
Both teams to score.
Yeah, it's been a winning bet in 4 of Arsenal's first 5 Super League games this season. It's also come in for 3 of Lyon's 4 wins this term. They've had a great start to the season. So both teams to score, that's in at 1-3.
Producer has gone with a draw, producer Sean.
Yeah, and it's a fair assessment, to be fair, because Arsenal, they're currently on a 3-game winless streak in the Women's Super League, including 2 draws and a loss. But at this early stage of the competition, I can imagine both teams are going to be eager to avoid a defeat and early loss. It could be a pretty cautious game, potentially a draw. So that's in at 27-10. It's also a popular pick as well on Paddy Power.
Yep, another popular pick is over 3.5 goals. A lot of the punters have gone with.
Wouldn't this be great? A busy game in terms of goals. It kind of goes hand in hand with your pick, Andy. But Arsenal, they could have that home advantage. Their attacking depth. They'll be more capable of taking on a Lyon side who have been on a roll, like I just said lately. Actually, they've scored 14 goals in the last 2 matches, including one game against PSG. So with a draw in mind, both teams scoring, the people think there's going to be over 3.5 goals, and that's at evens.
And what have you gone with,
I've gone with Marie-Antoinette Katoto to score. Hasn't scored in a few weeks, so it's a bit rogue from me, but she's had 1 goal and 1 assist in 4 games this season for Liam. But she has been a thorn in Arsenal's side so many times over the years, especially when she played at Paris. A clinical player, she slips past defenders with ease, gets herself in some great positions. So wouldn't be surprised if we get a goal with LGBT community.
Thanks very much, Firm. Catch up with you soon.
Cheers, guys.
Marie Antoinette, she always arranges the post-match snacks.
Oh, yeah, of course she does, and she advises them what they should eat, of course. Paddy Power's Bet Builder there. Minimum odds 1 to 5 per leg, 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Paddy Power on talkSPORT. Check out Paddy's latest offers on the Paddy Power app or at paddypower.com. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
We're going to turn to F1 now. And an event for Singapore Grand Prix.
Yeah, dramatic.
And McLaren won the Constructors' Championship for the 10th time, but all is not harmonious in the camp amongst their drivers. James Allen watched it all unfold from autosport.com, has been writing about it today. Hi, James.
How you doing, guys? All good?
Not too bad. Yeah. So where's the blame lying from your point of view for that coming together? I mean... You know, they've both had their say on it, and I'm sure people have heard some of the audio from Piastri. But what did you make of it?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, Piastri was pretty outspoken during the race in the sort of 20 or so minutes after it happened in the first lap. For him, it was not very teamy. For him, he said when the team decided not to do anything about it, he said it's not fair, which is an interesting thing to come out with. I mean, what happened. Norris was being aggressive. He was trying to overtake Piastri down the inside into a left-hand bend, literally the 3rd corner of the race. Verstappen slowed up probably a bit more than he expected, and he hit the back of Verstappen's tyre and then kind of cannoned into Piastri. So, was he completely in control? No. Is the contact then on him? Yes. Was it a problem? The stewards said no. The teams didn't feel it was. And so they allowed him to stay as they were, which meant Norris got in front of Piastri. He then had pit stop priority and one thing and another. So I think the bigger picture isn't so much the incident itself. It's more the rules of engagement between the 2 drivers now, because it's extremely hard to manage 2 drivers who are both fighting for their first ever Formula One Drivers' Championship within the same team. We've seen this with Hamilton and Rosberg, famously with Senna and Prost. But Hamilton had already won championships. Rosberg was going for his first. And you remember how tasty that got. And, we spoke a lot about in those years, kind of 2016, 2017, 2014, 15, that whole period. So I'm not saying it's going to blow up like Hamilton-Rosberg did, but I could feel in Singapore over the weekend the tension within that team really growing. And I've seen it many times before over the years when you've got 2 drivers in the same team. And this will have really taken that tension up a notch or 2.
It's a great chance for both of them, because if Red Bull come back next year, if other teams improve, they may not be in this position.
But couldn't it let Verstappen in this season as they battle it out and they duke it out? Maybe there could be other opportunities.
Well, history does repeat quite often in sport, doesn't it? And you remember 2007, the 2 McLaren drivers, Alonso and Hamilton, were fighting over the World Championship in exactly this way. And Ferrari's Kimi Räikkönen came along the rails and nicked the championship off them because McLaren didn't prioritise either of the 2 drivers. They were very close on points. If you speak to the Piastri camp, they'll say, well, we are 22 points clear. If any driver's going to have to give way, it's going to be the other one. But it's too early for that. So McLaren are in a really tricky place. The good thing for them is they, as you said, Paul, they just clinched their 10th consecutive Constructors' Championship at the weekend. So that's a huge achievement. First time they've gone back-to-back on the team's championship since 1991, when they had Senna and Prost driving for them. So that's the scale of the achievement. So now that's out the way, they can really focus on the Drivers' Championship and make sure, A, they don't lose it to Verstappen. He's a long way back. I mean, he's what is he? I can't remember now. He was 69 points behind Piastri going into Singapore. He's now 63 behind. So he needs to score an average of 10.5 points a race more than Piastri does to beat him to the Drivers' Championship. So it's going to take a non-finish for Piastri to make that happen. So I still think it's one of the two McLaren drivers that's going to win it, but it's definitely going to get tasty.
Which is more important? Because the Constructors' Championship always seems to be, not a foregone conclusion, but whoever wins it, they're going to win it. Whereas the Drivers' Championship, it seems to be always more up in the air. Is that the more glamorous of the two?
Depends what your metric is. If it's the more glamorous of the two, definitely the drivers, for sure. But if you're interested in the moolah, then definitely the constructors, because all of the prize money is handed out based on where you finish in the Constructors' Championship. So McLaren will have made a lot of money by winning the constructors. I don't want to put a figure on it, but it won't be dissimilar to what Liverpool won for winning the Premier League last year.
Just finally, because of all this going on, no one really talked about George Russell who won it, and in the fallout, he says he feels ready to fight for a championship. Do you feel that's the case?
Yeah, I think it is. I think if you gave Russell a car capable of winning a championship, he showed at the weekend. He didn't have the fastest car in Singapore, but he pulled out one of his famous George Russell Saturday specials in qualifying on a single lap and got the pole. He's fourth in the Drivers' Championship at the moment, but he managed to get the win, and he managed to pull a gap on Verstappen and hold it. So yes, I think he is. I don't think he's the best driver in Formula One. I think Verstappen has proved over the last 4 years, and particularly this year, where he's managed to get results in a really poor Red Bull car, that he is head and shoulders the best driver in Formula One. But as long as Verstappen's not got a better car than Russell, if you gave Russell a car that can win races all across the season, yes, he's capable of winning a championship.
Good stuff, James. A pleasure as always. Thanks very much.
See you, boys.
James Allen there from autosport.com. You can read his piece today at autosport.com. Our thanks to him. Still to come, Troy Deeney will be joining us very shortly. Talk a bit of Manchester United. Yeah, not happy with the second half performance at Old Trafford against Sunderland. He'll tell us why, and his love of NFL, which was evident from his appearance on the Channel 5 show yesterday. We're here with Tool Station. Next stop, Tool Station.
talkSPORT traffic.
Staffordshire, the M6 southbound is partially.
The global home of boxing. Sign up now at dazn.com/boxing.
Yes, boxing-wise, this Saturday, an explosive clash in Sheffield takes place as two knockout kings, Dave Allen and Arzembek Magdumov, look to move one step closer to a big-name matchup. And later that night, we've got Jaron Boot Tennis making his debut at 154 pounds against IBO world champion Usman Lima. And you can watch that live this Saturday only on DAZN. So, joining us now to reflect on the weekend's football, look at some of the big talking points and his love of NFL. It's Troy Dean. Hello, Troy.
Hello, gents. How you doing?
Let's start with the NFL. I saw you on the telly yesterday. They're sitting there in the studio with the gang. Who's your team?
I'm with the Ravens, but I don't like talking about the Ravens because we had a bit of a bad weekend. So being made fun of on TV by how bad your team is not great.
Oh.
Now I know how it feels to be a Man United fan.
How did you what got you into the sport? When did that happen?
My wife, unfortunately, mate, she went to NYU, so she's massive into the Jets. So it's been good fun that, they're worse than the Ravens for a long, long time. But, started getting into it, loved the physicality of it. And, it's just amazing to watch. It's a great watch on a Sunday for anyone who doesn't watch it from like 5 p.m. all the way through till 2 in the morning. It's just constant action. So, love it, mate. Really, really enjoy it.
We're going to talk about Manchester United. Andy was telling me, I heard you saying that you were less than impressed with the second half performance despite the 2-0 win against Sunderland.
Yeah, it just felt a little bit like they were 2-0 up and I was expecting them to come out and showcase their flair and the obvious quality that we know they have. But it was more of a scared performance. It was don't lose. And some players wanted to kick on and score extra goals. And other players were like, no, let's stay in here, kicking it long, turning the ball over. And it just created a very nervy atmosphere. Now, if you're playing against any of the big teams, I could go, yeah, fair enough, I can understand that. But you're playing Sunderland. It just felt really, they'll be happy that they won, but they won't be happy with the manner of the performance.
I mean, as we were saying earlier on, if Traore had scored that goal in, four minutes, just how different a day it could have been and how, potentially how toxic it could have been at Old Trafford.
Yeah, it was toxic anyway. I was walking to the game and talking to fans and you just get that whole feeling of if they didn't win, I actually think Amorim would have gone. I really do. I don't think that would have been the right decision, but that atmosphere around the place was just ready to go. And that chance you speak about, the defending from Dalot was awful. Doesn't even see him coming. And if he would have scored, I think Sunderland kick on, it would have been a very nervy game. But what's a maybe is they ended up getting the job done. The young goalkeeper looks sensational. And I've never been at a game where a goalkeeper has been standing ovation for coming and claiming a cross. How might you fall?
That shows you, doesn't it, really?
Yeah. As someone who has served under quite a lot of short-term managers as a Watford player, you might maybe give us a bit of insight into maybe the way some of the Forest players are feeling at the moment, because game to game, every press conference is, can you survive this? Can the manager survive this? They've lost another game, not an easy game away at St James's
I mean, they're all
Park.
saying they're behind him because they've got to say that, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, it does seem mad after 3.5 weeks of doing the job that he's under pressure.
It does, but it doesn't it? I think we could all understand that the change was huge and was massive to even make that change. I just think it's mental that he's had probably, 10 training sessions at best, just because of the amount of the schedule. To make that change after probably 10 training sessions is really difficult. But I just think Ange's changed too much too soon. That Forest team is set up to counter-attack, and he's now trying to make them front-footed with no pre-season. So I think this little 2 weeks off, he will have to adjust of what he does and really get the players aligned and not away and into national duty, because that pressure is mounted. And they're not only just losing games, they don't look like winning. They don't look like they're going to keep clean sheets, which is what they built their whole season on. So I don't expect them to finish in the top half anyway, because of how many close games there was last season. But I just think he has to stop something. There's nothing to hang your hat on now as a Forest fan.
He did say, didn't he, after the first game, he said, how long is it going to take you to implement your ideas? He said, Wednesday, mate. By Wednesday, I want them playing my way. Yeah. I mean, it's not realistic, is it? I mean, if he said, look, okay, it's going to be a process. This is a very different style of football, but Ange is Ange, and he sort of doubled down on it.
Yeah, look, I think that was a bit of a flippant remark. He wants to get it in by Wednesday. But also, I've been telling football fans, don't believe everything you hear from these football managers, because Russell Martin told you last week to be prepared because it's growing. He's building something, and a week later he's gone.
Yeah.
So, you do have to take it with a pinch of salt. And obviously, as a Spurs fan, Ange is very good with the media. Gives you loads of one-liners. Unfortunately, they're not always what you want to hear, and I think for Forest fans, it's going to be a painful one.
Before we let you go, it'd be nice to get a striker's appreciation of Erling Haaland and maybe Voltemada as well. What are you making of their current form?
Say that again, but I just lost you there.
I was saying, maybe kick off a striker's appreciation of Haaland to kick us off with. He's playing sensationally well at the moment. He does seem to be in the groove.
Yeah, 100%. I think he is the epitome of what any young striker should look at. Big, strong, physical, and has that loving appetite for scoring goals. I think he wants to win, but I think if his team lost 7-1, he'd be happy he scored the one. He's that type of guy. And I just thought the goal yesterday it wasn't even a chance, was it? Let's be honest. He just bullies people out the way, that typical number 9. And I said about it very early on in pre-season. We haven't spoken about Haaland all off-season. It was Isak, it was Visser, it was João Pedro, you name it, everybody but him. And he just wants to let you all know that the big dog's back in town.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe just a quickie on Voltemada. Early days for him, but the signs are pretty positive so far.
Yeah. What a penalty, by the way.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
We talk about the Šeško at Man United taking the 10th penalty I think he wanted to take, didn't he, at Grimsby? Voltemada said, don't worry, lads, I'll stick this in the top corner. No pressure. It's an unbelievable penalty. He's got something about him, not only physically, but, that mentality of being able to adjust. Probably his whole life been told he's too big, he's not quick enough, all of these different things. But it builds an inner belief, and I just think he's been fantastic. Newcastle, for me, are primed to kick on now. As soon as they get Visser back, Ramsey back, that's a formidable team that will really kick on in the Premier League.
Troy, we'll let you go. All the best. Thanks very much.
Cheers, lads. Bye-bye.
There we are. There's Troy Deeney there reflecting on some of the stories from the weekend. And that is us. Myself and Andy will be here tomorrow from 1, building up to England, Wales and all the big games this week and lots of other stuff besides. Do hope you can join us. If you've missed any of the day, the H&J Daily podcast with some of the best bits will be available very shortly. We'll also have the clips of the month for September for you tomorrow at some point for you to vote on. But coming up next here on talkSPORT, Andy Goldstein and Darren Bentwood Drive.